Immortal Cultivation family, I can see the clues. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151, Demon Luring Pill. Lin Yi first found a spot not far from the Shining Fruit Tree and planted the Minxin tea tree. The Minxin tea tree is a shrub after all, and it looks huge on the tea field, but compared with the Shining Fruit Tree, it is a little short and fat. After the Minxin tea tree was planted, Lin Yi still poured in the soul-enriching liquid and spread some soul soil. This is a second-level top-grade soul tea tree. Not only is the soul tea on it very effective, but it is also the body of the wood monster, which has great growth potential. In addition, he is looking forward to using the wood heart of the wood monster to practice the secret method of Xianmu, planting soul to perfection. After the body of the wood monster was planted, Lin Yi took out the spirit of the wood monster, which was the tree man. At this time, the tree man had a drooping face, and the roots made it look like a 100-year-old man. However, after the latter saw the body of the Minxin tea tree, his eyes became excited and he kept struggling to move towards the Minxin tea tree. However, he was grabbed by Lin Yi, and the wood monster could only struggle. Submit to me. Lin Yi directly used his spiritual consciousness to put pressure on the wood monster. It is recorded in the entry book of the Spirit Beast sect that some spiritual contracts are also useful for wood monsters, which is why the Spirit Beast sect can raise wood monsters in the sect. He had planted spirits before and understood the weaknesses of wood monsters better. The wood monster was still struggling. As a wild wood monster, it would naturally not surrender. Lin Yi's application for a spiritual contract was directly shattered by the wood monster. Lin Yi was not angry, but directly imprisoned the wood monster and separated it from its main body with a formation. It could only look at the main body, but could not return. After doing all this, Lin Yi began to practice the mountain ape body training technique on the spot. The Chu demon sect and the three sects of the Zhao state are still fighting. Although the Qingxuan sect promised 5 years, this promise was based on the situation that the three sects could easily resist. If the three sects showed a slight decline, they would definitely take on their families. They must be worried that those families would turn against them at the last minute. Therefore, Lin Yi needed to improve his strength as soon as possible. The Purple Wood Heart Sutra he practiced also slowed down after the foundation building period. The family could not provide him with essence pills at full strength, and he himself did not have the third-level spiritual honey. In this way, the body refining technique became the best way for him to improve his strength in a short period of time. The body refining technique is different from the Qigong technique. The body refining technique focuses more on the physical body, and the breathing method corresponds to the cellular level. It is supplemented by the body refining martial arts, and the internal and external training can create a supreme body. Of course, this also requires a lot of body refining spiritual liquid or body refining spiritual fruit. As for the spiritual liquid, it is okay. The family does not have the third-level body refining spiritual liquid, but there are still many second-level ones. Lin Yi has also exchanged a lot before. Lin Yi's next days also fell into peace. During the day, he practiced a mountain ape body refining technique to polish his physical body. After polishing, he practiced a Purple Wood Heart Sutra. During this period, he also cultivated spiritual plants. At the same time, every 3 days, he conducted a spiritual contract induction on the wood monster. The spirit of the wood monster was constantly worn away, and the effect was gradually getting better. Horizontal ellipsis. 3 months later, Lin Yi opened his eyes and saw 2 rays of light shooting out. At this moment, he suddenly looked like a mountain ape attracting purple energy. His originally thin body began to grow stronger. I have finally reached the first level. Next, I just need to polish my body. Lin Yi exhaled slightly. The entry of mountain ape body training also meant that he had become a body training practitioner. However, his physical condition at this time could only fight against a monster beast in the early stage of the second stage. Lin Yi stood up and walked towards the wood monster again. At this moment, the wood monster stared at its main body, but its whole body was like a dead and rotten cork, and it couldn't stand up straight. This was because the wood monster had been away from its main body for a long time and lacked the nourishment of its main body's essence. When Lin Yi walked in front of it, it no longer showed a fierce face to Lin Yi. Instead, it had begun to numb. At this time, Lin Yi outlined the spirit contract again and punched it into the wood monster's body. The spirit contract entered very smoothly, and there was no more resistance. The next moment, a spiritual contract was formed, and a wonderful feeling appeared in Lin Yi's heart. It's done. Lin Yi was also very excited. Once the wood monster was formed, he could find a way to upgrade the wood monster and upgrade it to third-level spiritual wood. Not to mention the effect of the third-level minx and tea. Even if he took out half of the heart of the skywood, he could improve his secret method of cultivating the spirit of the skywood. Let his true essence storage increase several times again. You must know that the reason why he has such strength in the early stage of foundation building is related to his magic tools. At the same time, his true essence storage is several times that of ordinary cultivators. In addition, his Zhuan level upper grade skills make his true essence extremely condensed. Only then, it was a little easy to control a large number of magic tools. Seeing that the spiritual contract was completed, Lin Yi also opened the formation and let the wood monster enter the body. As soon as the wood monster opened the formation, it immediately used the earth escape technique and arrived at the body of the minx and tea tree. The old face appeared on the tea tree again. It wanted to continue to stare at Lin Yi fiercely, as if to tell Lin Yi that even if they signed a spiritual contract, they would not listen to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't care about the expression of the wood monster and smiled. This wood monster was born in the small secret realm, and its true intelligence is actually the same as that of a monster. Such a reaction is normal. But with a spiritual contract, his cultivation is much higher than that of the wood monster, and there is no need to worry that the wood monster will devour its master. Lin Yi wanted to continue practicing the mountain ape body training technique, but he saw a spiritual talisman flying in, which was the sound transmission talisman. The sound transmission note was sent by Lin Yi, but the content made him very happy. The demon luring pill is done. When the formation was opened, Lin Yi, who was wearing a green skirt, stood outside the formation. Seventh brother. Lin Yi blushed and smiled. She stretched out her slender jade hand, and a small jade bottle appeared in front of Lin Yi. This is the demon luring pill refined by Uncle 15. Thank you for sending it. Lin Yi took the jade bottle and said gratefully. Please help me thank Uncle 15 too. Lin Yi continued, refining pills is extremely stressful on the body, especially since Lin Haoxun is still polishing his spiritual energy and preparing to break through the foundation. After saying that, Lin Yi turned and returned to the cave. The demon luring pill also means that his soul-devouring ants are finally useful. Even the disciples of the spirit beast sect were scrambling for this kind of soul ants at that time. You can imagine the value of the soul-devouring ants. For Lin Yi, he did not have the method of wearing away the soul-devouring ants and then making a spiritual contract like the wood monster. But with a demon luring pill, he can also obtain the offspring of the soul-devouring ants. And such soul-devouring ants are more perfect to control. The monsters that are cultivated from childhood to adulthood basically do not have the concept of devouring the master, which is much better than his current wood monster. What he didn't know was that Lin Yi was looking at him, pursing her lips, clenching and unclenching her fists, and she didn't say what she had in her heart. It was early spring, and the peach blossoms on Fangmu Mountain were blooming again. Chapter 152 Spirit Ants Laying Eggs. In the cave beside the Kinglian Pond, Lin Yi took out a jade box that contained the soul-devouring ants. Through the surface of the jade box, it was easy to see that the dozens of soul-devouring ants were all listless. Soul-devouring ants can devour any spiritual energy, and can easily devour spiritual weapons and spiritual formations, but only spiritual jade is their biggest weakness. At this moment, the ferocity of these soul ants has been worn out. Lin Yi took out the demon luring pill and quickly put it into the jade box. Those soul ants instantly seemed to be stimulated, screaming wildly, and then crawled towards the demon luring pill and began to slowly gnaw it. The rest of the soul ants also crawled over quickly, and then what shocked Lin Yi was that these soul ants actually devoured each other and fought for the demon luring pill. The largest one among them was particularly fierce, with sharp teeth. In the blink of an eye, it bit 3 or 4 soul-devouring ants to death, and then continued to gnaw the demon luring pill. Half a quarter of an hour later, only 4 extremely irritable soul-devouring ants were left in the jade box. It seemed that the jade box could not suppress them at this moment. They flew around the jade box frantically and bit everywhere. They even started to bite the jade box, but after biting it, The soul ants spit it out again and continued to move frantically in the jade box. Lin Shiming felt very strange when he saw this, and even suspected that the demon luring pill had no effect on these soul ants. But then he thought that the red-haired demon monkey and the golden-winged mantis also devoured soul meat and beast-raising pills frantically when they evolved. So he took out some soul beast meat, still some soul water, and some beast-raising pills and threw them into the jade box. Sure enough, the next 4 soul-devouring ants began to devour the spiritual energy of various spiritual objects frantically. The terrifying speed made Lin Shiming dumbfounded, and he couldn't understand how the soul-devouring ants of such a size could devour so many spiritual objects. After another hour, the soul-devouring ants gradually stabilized and stopped biting, but began to calmly link up with each other. Seeing this, Lin Shiming finally felt relieved. The demon-luring pill worked. After dealing with the spirit-devouring ants, Lin Shiming returned to the Fudan and began to meditate again. After practicing the Purple Wood Heart Sutra for a week, he felt that his mind was highly concentrated again, his true essence was abundant, and his whole body was full of vitality. He took out another jade slip, which was the God-splitting art. He did not bring the God-splitting art and the heavenly wood spirit-growing secret art to the family for family members to practice. First, the family did not have a suitable person for the time being, and second, these 2 secrets were both important. The former was a secret method that could be used in the key refining stage, and its importance was no less than that of the heavenly spirit fruit tree. The latter God-splitting art could greatly improve the spiritual consciousness, and the cultivators of the Kingsuan sect would be extremely envious. It might not be a big deal for one cultivator to have outstanding spiritual consciousness, but if everyone had outstanding spiritual consciousness, then the family must have a rare treasure. If the news of the treasure was leaked to an ordinary foundation-building family, it would be fine, and they would weigh the relationship with the sect, but if there were Purple Mansion casual cultivators, who were free and unencumbered, they would have come to the Lin family to borrow it if they knew about the treasure. Lin Shiming abandoned other messy thoughts and focused on reading the God-splitting art. At this moment, the Fudan also played a great role, making him more focused and clear-headed. The practice of the God-splitting art is divided into 2 parts. One is to condense the God-splitting blade, and the other is to cut off one's own consciousness. Of course, there is a limit to the severing of consciousness by cutting off one's own consciousness, which will only cause a crack, and then use the characteristics of the God-splitting art to continuously practice and restore consciousness. All 3 steps are indispensable, which is also the key to the power of the God-splitting art. Of course, practicing the God-splitting art will also be extremely painful, and it will also cause the side effect of being unable to establish a spiritual contract and unable to fight in a short period of time. That's why he will practice the God-splitting art after controlling the wood monster. Lin Shiming took a deep breath, and then his mind was extremely concentrated, and he began to condense the God-splitting blade. After the God-splitting blade was condensed, he also had a consciousness attack, but the attack of this God-splitting blade was not as good as the God-splitting drum. The God-splitting blade can only attack those with a cultivation level or even lower than his own, and it can attack those with a consciousness far higher than his own. It will also cause backlash, and then not only will it not be able to affect the enemy cultivators, but it will also make his spirit flustered. The consequences are disastrous. The condensation of the God-splitting blade is not simple either, and the spiritual formula involved is extremely complicated. Fortunately, he still has system prompts to remind him at critical moments. It took less than 7 days to condense the God-splitting blade. At this moment, a small white blade appeared in his mind, which was the God-splitting blade. Lin Shiming also breathed a sigh of relief again and showed a satisfied smile. The God-splitting blade was successful, and it was not far from training the spiritual consciousness. Lin Shi did not continue, but stood up and checked the soul-splitting ants in the jade box. The previous 4 soul-splitting ants had become 2, and a large number of spiritual eggs began to appear in the jade box. A rough look showed that there were no less than 300. And the soul-splitting ants were still laying eggs. This also made Lin Shiming extremely satisfied again. With these spirit eggs, the soul-devouring ants will hatch. At that time, no spirit formation can stop him. For example, in the formation of the Purple Mansion Cave, he does not need to gather 5 foundation-building monks, but can use the soul-devouring ants to enter and collect treasures. While Lin Shiming was excited, He took out a lot of spirit beast meat and spirit water beast nurturing pills again and put them into the jade box to ensure that the mother insect has enough spiritual power to lay as many insect eggs as possible. After the insect eggs were finished, Lin Yi once again cultivated various spirit plants. After the cultivation, he began to practice the mountain ape body training technique, and later, he directly fought with a red-haired demon monkey. His days became extremely abundant, and as for family affairs, they were all handed over to various halls. 3 years passed quietly. The Kinglian lake next to the Kinglian pond has been divided into 2 lakes. The lake on the left cultivates Kinglian and red spirit fish, and the lake on the right cultivates spirit crocodiles. Many monks are catching spirit fish at this moment. But the next moment, there was only a rumbling sound. On the distant mountain, 2 figures, one red and one blue, were constantly fighting. Every time they fought, it created a great momentum. And the fist shadows of the 2 were quite similar. But the red figure was obviously in the upper hand. The master's body refining technique is becoming more and more profound. Lin Yi did not hide the practice of body refining from the family cultivators, and he could not hide it. He practiced with a red-haired demon monkey, and the whole Fangmu mountain could hear the momentum. On the mountain, as the red-haired demon monkey jumped up and punched, it finally smashed Lin Yi into the mountain. The red-haired demon monkey was extremely excited and even lifted Zuanling Mountain and kept howling. Lin Yi also came out of the mountain. Today, he is already 34 years old. Although his cultivation is still in the early stage of foundation building, his body refining realm has also reached the terrifying level of the 7th level of body refining. He can even barely fight with a red-haired demon monkey. But obviously he was only being abused, but he reached the 6th level of body refinement in 3 years, which showed how terrifying his cultivation speed was. Of course, the reason he could fight was also because his consciousness had broken through to the middle stage of foundation building. His prediction of each move was far better than that of the red-haired demon monkey, and he also allowed the red-haired demon monkey to control its power, which was why he could barely fight. Chapter 153 Bad News at the Border. In the Kinglian Pond Cave of Fangmu Mountain, as soon as Lin Yi came back, he took out a large wooden barrel, which was filled with red liquid medicine. The red-haired demon monkey followed him back, also howling and pulling at the corner of Lin Yi's clothes. Lin Yi rubbed the red-haired demon monkey's head, and then took out a larger wooden barrel and filled it with liquid medicine. The liquid medicine in this wooden barrel was made from blood crocodile flowers. Lin Yi himself sold some to the family, so Lin Yi bought some. After practicing the body technique, he would soak in this liquid medicine, and then with a breathing method, the speed of practice would be greatly increased. As for the red-haired demon monkey, after seeing Lin Yi taking a bath once, he also jumped into the wooden barrel with a howl, so Lin Yi had to prepare another medicine barrel for the red-haired demon monkey. The red-haired demon monkey also became addicted to soaking once, so it became 2 wooden barrels to soak at the same time. Lin Yi looked at the red-haired demon monkey, lying in the medicine barrel with great enjoyment, with only a red head and its blazing tail exposed. At this moment, the tail is still burning, but the red-haired demon monkey can control the size of the flame and ensure that the flame will not burn the liquid medicine. Lin Yi closed his eyes and began to practice breathing. After 3 hours, the color in the medicine barrel gradually faded, and the medicinal properties were gradually absorbed completely. Lin Yi changed into a robe and came to the insect room, which was specially prepared for the soul-devouring ants. There were rows of insect eggs in the insect room, with thousands of them. At this moment, the eggs were white and yellow, and they had obviously been bred for a long time and were about to hatch. Lin Yi immediately stepped forward, squeezed out a few drops of blood from his fingers, and sprinkled them evenly on the eggs, and then performed the spiritual contract again. He had no way of knowing the birth of the eggs, so he could only establish a spiritual contract in advance, otherwise when the soul-devouring ants appeared, he would not be there, and it was very likely that the entire cave would be swallowed up. He could not take out a large amount of spiritual jade to wrap the entire stone chamber. After performing the spiritual contract, Lin Yi also left the stone room and returned to the room for cultivation. He sat on the futon and began to meditate and practice the Purple Wood Heart Sutra, quietly recovering the loss of blood in essence. 3 years of seclusion made him more stable, and he had made great progress in his cultivation in the early stage of foundation building. In fact, because of his foundation building stage, he had no bottleneck in practicing the body training method. In 3 years, He had cultivated to the level of the late stage of key training, and at the same time, the body training fed back his key training. In addition, his biggest gain was the small success of the god-splitting art, which had made his consciousness higher than that of ordinary early-stage foundation-building cultivators, and now it was much higher than that of mid-stage foundation-building cultivators, and even comparable to late-stage foundation-building cultivators. Now, even if he was beating the god-shocking drum, he had no pressure at all. Of course, it was not all due to the god-splitting art, but also the bright heart tea tree. When the wood monster entered the body, there would be a cluster of fresh spiritual tea every month, and because of the nourishment of the wood monster, the effect was much higher than that of ordinary second-grade top-grade spiritual tea. Surprisingly, this spiritual tea is also very beneficial to the recovery of the cultivator's spiritual consciousness, which makes his recovery and improvement after each spiritual consciousness faster. However, this also damages the wood monster's essence, but fortunately, his purple wood heart sutra can replenish it. This also makes Lin Yi pay more attention to the wood monster. A bunch of spiritual tea a month is still a little less. On the contrary, he has not been refining the weapon for the past 3 years. After 3 cycles, Lin Yi opened his eyes and walked towards the shining fruit tree and the small magical tree outside the cave. The two have not changed much, and the Minxin tea tree has not changed either. However, the golden thunder bamboo spiritual root has grown 2 shoots, one of which is 3 inches long, and the other has only 1 shoot. The 2 shoots are now all wrapped in the shoot skin, and the shoot skin is the same as the golden thunder bamboo body, showing the color of golden thunder. And there is always lightning flowing on the shoot skin. If it rains, there will be lightning falling from the sky and hitting the 2 golden shoots. Not far from the golden bamboo shoots, the wood demon showed an old face, and its cloudy eyes stared at the golden thunder bamboo without blinking. Lin Yi was also very surprised about this. He also used his spiritual consciousness to ask the wood demon, but the latter's intelligence was still not enough and could not give enough feedback. Lin Yi could only give up and hope that the wood demon would have some new changes. All the spiritual plants were cultivated one by one, and 3 days passed. At this time, a spiritual talisman was taken in from the outside. Lin Yi caught the spiritual light, and the next moment, his brows furrowed. Sure enough, it came after all. Fangmishan Meeting Hall. At this moment, all the elders of the Lin family gathered. Lin Yi had already sat in the hall. And to the right of the hall was Xian of Kingsun sect. At this moment, everyone looked solemn, even Xian. His face was not very good at the moment. Shiming is here. Shiming greets the 7th uncle and greets the senior brother Zi. Lin Yi also greeted the 2. Shiming, this time, Yan State has also joined the crusade of Chu State and Zhao State. The front line is losing ground. All the families in Zhao State need to be forcibly summoned to the battlefield. I am here to inform the major foundation-building families in Yunzhao, Xian said seriously. At this moment, Lin Yi felt a headache. The Chu State demon sect had already made the 3 sects of Zhao State overwhelmed. In addition, Yan State, especially the corpse training sect of Yan State, was a large sect that was more powerful than the Spirit Beast sect. The foundation-building families must provide at least 70% of the foundation-building cultivators and another 50% of the late-stage key training cultivators. Of course, if the foundation-building cultivators of the Lin family need to guard the mountain gate, then 80% of the late-stage key training cultivators can be provided, and 50% of the foundation-building cultivators can also be provided. When Xian said this, he also gave some leeway. But Lin Yi also saw an expression in Xian's eyes that could not be questioned. Letting the Lin family choose is already tolerant, which also represents the seriousness of the situation. Okay, our Lin family chooses the former. Lin Yi nodded. Since he couldn't hide, he could only participate in the war. At this moment, the 3 major sects would not allow anyone to have enough power in the hinterland of the sect. After seeing Lin Yi's decision, Xian also said goodbye and left directly, without even taking a sip of Minxin tea. He was accompanied by Lin Yi and Lin Xianzi and sent it away. Obviously, the latter went to inform other families in Yunzhao. And Lin Yi and Lin Xianzi also returned to the Fangmishan meeting hall again. Everyone's face was ugly. After the beast died, Yunzhao had a 5-year breathing opportunity to build the foundation. After a year, the cultivators were still a little prepared, but now they were facing 2 immortal cultivation countries, Chu and Yan. One was a country of demonic cultivation and evil cultivation, and the other was a country of corpse cultivation. The chance of Zhao State being able to stop it was extremely slim, unless several righteous countries next to the Righteous Alliance supported Zhao State. Chapter 154 Family Arrangements. Everyone in the meeting hall was frowning. Finally, Lin Yi spoke first. Everyone, the more critical the moment, the less anxious you should be. Even if the sky falls, there will be a higher ceiling. Our Lin family has experienced 300 or 400 years of ups and downs. It is not relying on strong strength, but on the unity of the family and the inheritance of the same lineage. As soon as Lin Yi finished speaking, his majestic eyes kept looking around at everyone. Most of the other elders and monks in the family also fell silent. Lin Yi then looked at Lin Shiming. Shiming, you make the arrangements. According to gossip, Yao Zhao in the Lingfu sect has been captured. In addition, Xian Hao of the Ling Xiao sect has also fallen by half. The situation is indeed not optimistic. Yes, seventh uncle. Lin Shiming nodded, and he only felt a huge pressure in his mind. The Three Kingdoms War, Jinden was involved in it. Their foundation-building family was in it, just like a small boat, which could be overturned by the tide at any time. Let's decide first on the candidates for the battle. Since Shiji hasn't appeared in everyone's eyes yet, there will be 4 of us building the foundation this time, and 3 of us will fight. My father, my 7th uncle and I will fight. Big brother, you go and replace 5th uncle, and the 5th uncle will guard the family. Secondly, the family's late-stage key training cultivators will be mainly selected from the members of the monster hunting team. You will be in charge of selecting the spots for this matter. At the same time, the alchemy hall and the equipment refining hall will focus on refining pills. Shitao, 5th grandpa, these 2 tasks will be carried out by the 2 of you. The elixirs that the family obtained in the Huangpan secret realm can now all be used to refine healing pills and recovery pills. Yes. Lin Haoyong, Lin Shitao, and Lin Yi responded together. 5th grandfather, as the head of the family's business hall, you should gradually cancel the business of the caravan, reduce the number of members, and mainly operate the Xingxin market and Lingnan County market. The family's ascension conference will be changed from once every 3 years to once a year. The family is not without spiritual materials now, but lacks enough spiritual root cultivators. If necessary, even if it is outside Lingnan County and Xing County, some other families' ascension conferences can also be participated, especially the territories of some key training families. When Lin Shiming said this, Lin Yuzhang also nodded vigorously. After the war, the family must lack cultivators, and the ascension conference is all children in their teens. As long as they are trained in the mountains for 10 years, they are also members of the Lin family. You must know that those key training families also have to send people to the front line. In addition, grandfather, all the participants in this expedition, regardless of their cultivation level, will be awarded 30,000 contribution points. Yes, patriarch. Everyone, although only the late key training cultivators have joined the battle now, if the situation worsens, it is very likely that the mid-key training cultivators will also go to the front line, so in the future, everyone must remember not to slack off. Lin Shiming spoke again, also as a summary. The various hall masters and elders arranged their own things, and Lin Shiming called Lin Shiji. This eldest brother was also a little confused at this time. Although he was a hidden foundation-building cultivator in the family, he did not want to stay in the family, and he did not understand why he was sent to Lingnan County. Brother, this disaster, my 7th uncle and my father may not be able to come back, so you must take responsibility. You are not only a hidden foundation-building cultivator in the family, you are also a second spiritual root, and you have the hope of purple mansion and golden elixir in the future. Lin Shiming spoke carefully. Of course, the most important point for you to go to Lingnan County is that you need to arrange someone to contact the Hotan Jin family at any time. The 2 ancestors of their family are both wise men. They are willing to go through the disaster with us when we explore the Purple Mansion cave together. Second, if Zhao State falls, you will arrange someone to contact the corpse training sect. When Lin Shiming said this, Lin Shiji's face changed drastically. He didn't expect that at this moment, Lin Shiming actually asked him to contact the corpse training sect. Brother, the 4th brother is not dead. He joined the corpse training sect. The Chu State Demon sect has the Li family. There is absolutely no place for my Lin family to survive. Only the corpse training sect can survive. In my cave, There is a shining fruit tree, a small magical tree, and a golden thunder bamboo. At the critical moment, they can be used as bargaining chips. After Lin Shiming finished speaking, Lin Shiji's shock was also beyond words. Not to mention the news that Lin Shimo was still alive, those treasures alone were enough to shock. After Lin Shiji left, Lin Shiming called Lin Haoyong again. Facing this fifth uncle, he also entrusted a lot of things. The first one was Lin Shitao and Lin Shili. These two were also the most promising descendants of the Lin family. One was a second-level middle-grade peak alchemist with 2 spiritual roots, and the other was a cultivator with a different spiritual root and thunder attribute. Even if the rest of the family's generation had all perished, the latter would protect these two. This was the hope of the Lin family. The second thing was to protect Lin Haoxuan. On the premise of having the foundation-building pill, he had polished his spiritual energy for 3 years and began to formally retreat 3 months ago, preparing to break through the foundation building. At the same time, he would also take Lei Zhuan with him. In this expedition, Lei Zhuan, as a cultivator who married into the family, was naturally included. Even though he had already held a wedding ceremony with Lin Shiki and entered the family jade book, he would not relax on what he should be wary of. After Lin Haoyong left, Lin Shiming was completely relieved, and then walked into the backyard wing room, where Lin Xianci and Lin Haoyong were also. Seventh uncle, father, the family affairs have been arranged. Lin Shiming said respectfully. Yes. Lin Xianci nodded in satisfaction, and then made some additions to Lin Shiming's arrangements. During this time, Lin Haoyong was also listening quietly. Finally, Lin Xianci sighed again and said, Shiming, this 3 Kingdoms war, in fact, I originally wanted Lin Haoyong and your father to go with me. But as a registered disciple of the sect, you have performed well in Qingyuan City, and were named by Zixu and Sanren to participate. Lin Xianci didn't say it at first, and he also had his own considerations, but he didn't expect that Lin Shiming's first sentence was to put himself in it. You must remember to respond immediately and focus on preserving yourself. The family, with you, is the greatest hope. Lin Xianci said again earnestly, and then took out 4 blood evil thunders and put them in Lin Shiming's hands. Lin Shiming was also surprised to see the blood evil thunders, and was also full of emotion. But he looked at Lin Haoyong next to him and wanted to give 2 to his father. Shiming, take it, the ancestor also gave me 2. Lin Haoyong also said. Okay. Lin Shiming accepted it. Shiming, Haoyong, you all go get ready, we'll set off in 3 days. Lin Xianci spoke again. Lin Shiming and Lin Haoyong also took their orders and returned to the cave. Lin Shiming did not hesitate and returned to the cave. He first collected all the soul-devouring antigs, and then collected the sleeping golden-winged mantis and red-haired demon monkey. The strength of these 2 is not weaker than his current strength. Chapter 155, If the Great Dao is successful, the small Dao can be complete. At Fangmu Mountain, Lin Shiming had packed up the things in the cave, prepared the magic tools, and checked the spiritual talisman flags one by one. He also spent some time to take care of the spiritual plants again, and then suddenly wanted to relax and walk on the mountain. Speaking of which, since he became a member of the Lin family and a foundation-building cultivator, he has never observed Fangmu Mountain carefully, but at this moment, he suddenly wanted to take another look. He grew up in Fangmu Mountain since he was a child, and it has been more than 30 years. He has also witnessed Fangmu Mountain's transformation from a 3rd-level medium-grade spiritual vein to a 3rd-level upper-grade spiritual vein. He first looked at the Qinglian Pond and Qinglian Lake. The lotus leaves in the Qinglian Pond were more and larger, and the lotus seeds on them were more abundant, and there were also many 3rd-level lotus seeds. These lotus seeds are the best detoxifying spiritual objects. Since his 7th uncle recovered, he has also had a lot of them in his storage bag. In the Qinglian Lake, at this moment, spiritual fish were constantly jumping on one side, and on the other side, the spiritual crocodile was slightly revealing its black crocodile head. On the side, there was a pavilion. There was no chessboard on the pavilion, and the 7th great-grandfather Lin Xianci was not there. Speaking of which, this pavilion didn't have a name yet. Why not call it Yangtze Pavilion? Lin Shiming couldn't help thinking, and then he chuckled again. The 7th great-grandfather's personality might prefer the pavilion to be nameless. Then he walked down the mountain. Unconsciously, he came to the peach blossom forest. It was late spring at this moment. The spiritual peach blossoms of the spiritual peach tree were blooming particularly beautifully. The peach petals were flying all over the sky, and the spirit-seeking bees were scurrying up and down, embellishing a beautiful picture. In the depths of the peach blossoms, a figure in a green skirt stood under the tallest peach tree, gently pouring the soul-enriching liquid. The peach blossoms fell on her black hair, on her green skirt, and covered the ground. Lin Shiming recognized at a glance that this was Lin Shitao. It was he who brought Lin Shitao back from the spiritual peach tree in Teoho town that day. It was also the day that he made Lin Shitao an alchemist in the peach blossom forest. But now it seems that Lin Shitao still hasn't forgotten to take care of these spiritual peach trees. Lin Shiming walked forward, and the latter gradually turned around. After seeing that it was Lin Shiming, he seemed a little happy, but he seemed to think of the call of King Xuan sect and was a little worried. Seventh brother. Shitao, are you still taking care of these spiritual peach trees? This will affect your cultivation. Lin Shiming said. Thank you for reminding me, seventh brother. Shitao will pay attention. Lin Shitao also spoke again and again. After that, the two were speechless. Neither of them was good at speaking, especially since there were only two people left in front of them. The scene was a little awkward. Shitao, keep practicing, your talent can be ranked in the top 3 in the family. Lin Shiming casually found a topic to talk about. Lin Shitao nodded with a blushing face, and then suddenly spoke again. Seventh brother, I learned a peach blossom song from my third sister. I wonder if you have time to listen to it. Oh, sure. Lin Shiming nodded, and then found a stone bench to sit down. Lin Shitao also took out a guzheng, then stared at the strings and began to pluck them slowly. The syllables of the strings were extremely pleasant to the ears. Although Lin Shiming was not familiar with music and did not know how to play the 5 strings, he inexplicably felt that this peach blossom song was pleasant to the ears, and it was very pleasing to the ears, and it matched the peach blossoms in the sky surprisingly well. With the pleasant sound of the guzheng, it seemed that the peach blossoms also began to dance at this moment, and under the breeze, the peach blossoms fell one by one. And Lin Shitao was like a peach blossom fairy who was isolated from the world under the rain of flowers. In the Peach Blossom Valley, there is a peach blossom nunnery, and in the peach blossom nunnery, there is a peach blossom fairy. Or, there is a beauty in the north, who is isolated from the world and independent. One look can make people fall in love with a city, and another look can make people fall in love with a country. Lin Shiming could not help but immerse himself in it, and when he came to his senses, the sun had set and insects were chirping. Seventh brother. Lin Shitao raised his head, his eyes were slightly excited, and a little worried, as if he had made up his mind. He was about to speak, but was interrupted by Lin Shiming. Shitao, Qijie knows your feelings, but Qijie only seeks immortality now. Immortality is the great way, and love is the minor way. You and I are both immortals, so we should put immortality first. Lin Shitao's face was gloomy in an instant, and his face was full of disappointment. Before he opened his mouth, the result came. Qijie, what if the great way is achieved? Lin Shitao still asked unwillingly. Then the minor way can be complete. After Lin Shiming finished speaking, he left with a wave of his sleeves and went straight to the King Lian Pond cave. He had already understood the girl's feelings. But born in the world of immortals, he was really unwilling not to go to Zifu, not to Jiangdan, and not to seek immortality. Even though he had longed for the love between children and perhaps he had been deeply trapped at some point, he knew that time was running out. The deadline of each realm was like a ladder to heaven. If he couldn't step on it, he could only fall into the clouds. If he didn't rush to a bloody head, who could say that the immortal path could not be sought? After Lin Shiming left, Lin Shiki also walked out from the peach blossom forest. She couldn't bear to see Lin Shitao still sitting there. Lin Shiming brought Lin Shitao to Fangmu Mountain. She also watched Lin Shitao grow up. Shitao. Third sister, I understand. Seventh brother is devoted to cultivation. Then I will help seventh brother to achieve success in the Great Dao. I will wait for seventh brother to achieve success in the Great Dao, and then I can complete the small Dao. 3 days passed, and a spiritual boat appeared again in the sky above the Lin family. On the spiritual boat, there were more than 40 people at this moment. Among them, the 3 people who had established their foundation were Lin Xianzi, Lin Shiming, and Lin Haoyuan. The 9th level cultivators of key training were Lin Yuking, Lin Haoyong, Lin Haoxiao, and Lin Haoyu. Among them, Lin Haoyu was the 6th of the Hao generation, and was also a newly promoted 9th level cultivator of key training in the past 3 years. The others who were in the late stage of key training, Lin Shiming was familiar with, were Lin Shiyi, Lin Xian, Lin Haoyan, Lei Zhuan, etc. Let's go. The spirit boat flew into the clouds. Lin Xianxi was at the front of the spirit boat, and Lin Shiming also went to the back of the spirit boat. Lin Xianxi and Lin Shiming followed, one in front and one behind, echoing each other. This spirit boat is a third-level top-grade magic weapon. As soon as it flew into the air, it changed into golden light and broke through the air. Behind Fang Mushin, countless spiritual mists surged out in a burst of light, gradually covering Fang Mushin, and the formation was fully activated. Zhao State, Xi'an Province in the territory of the Spirit Beast sect, Yunjing Mountain. A spirit boat slowly fell from the sky, and in front of the spirit boat, a large number of cultivators suddenly flew out of a formation. These cultivators all wore spirit beast robes, most of them wore one beast robes, and the leader wore two beast robes. Who is the cultivator in front? Please inform me, fellow Taoist. The Lin family, a subordinate family of the Qingxun sect, has been ordered to come to assist in defense. Lin Shiming, who was dressed in a green robe, walked out of the spirit boat and spoke loudly. As he spoke, a golden token flew out. On the front of the token was the word Qingxun, and on the back was the word Lin. This token is now a magic tool for Zhao State to identify identity. It is a special magic tool made by a 4th-level refiner, and it will be bound to the person, requiring the person's true essence to activate it. In addition, this token is also a magic tool for identifying identity. If it is a disciple of the Qingxun sect, the two sides will be the word Qingxun, and the back of the family will be the family's surname. This spiritual boat is also the Lin family cultivator who came from Fangmu Mountain. After a month and a half, he rushed to Xi'an City in Xi'an Province and was ordered to guard the Yunjing Mountain Mine, a medium-grade spiritual stone vein in Xi'an Province. Oh, it turns out to be fellow Taoist Lin. I have heard of you for a long time. Open the formation now. A middle-aged cultivator in a brocade robe in the formation also laughed repeatedly, and then opened the formation. I am Lin Gang. Maybe I was a relative hundreds of years ago. The middle-aged cultivator said with a smile. The Lin family members finally walked out of the spirit boat, with Lin Shiming and Lin Xianxi walking in the front, leading the way into Yunjing Mountain. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 Assistance. Lin Gang is one of the 3 late foundation building cultivators in Yunjing Mountain, and is also a direct disciple of the Spirit Beast sect. Along the way, under the leadership of Lin Gang, the arrogance of the sect disciples was not seen. Instead, Lin Gang was extremely polite to the Lin family and others. Brother Lin, where's Brother Su? Can you introduce me to meet him? As the highest cultivator in the Lin family, Lin Xianxi can only speak. At this moment, Lin Shiming followed behind and listened humbly. The brother Su mentioned by Lin Xianxi was Su Daole, the owner of Yunjing Mountain. Su Daole was a late foundation building cultivator and the person with the highest cultivation in Yunjing Mountain. He was responsible for all matters related to guarding the middle-grade spirit stone veins. But according to reason, his cultivation was not enough to serve as a deacon of the middle-grade spirit stone veins. But his natal demon beast was also a peak 3rd-level demon beast, and few among the foundation building cultivators could defeat it. Behind him was the support of the Purple Mansion Sanrun. Senior Brother Su is in seclusion to practice a magic. Fellow Taoist Lin, please come with me. When the Yi family and the Lu family arrive, I believe that by then, Senior Brother Su will be able to come out of seclusion. Lin Gang said with a little apology. Seeing Lin Gang's eyes, Lin Shiming had some guesses. Considering Lin Gang's previous diligence, he was afraid that the defense inside Yunjing Mountain was tight on the outside but empty on the inside. Lin Xianxi also understood. He continued to chat and laugh with Lin Gang. After learning about the various situations of Yunjing Mountain along the way, he finally arrived at the rooms prepared for the Lin family in Yunjing Mountain. After Lin Gang made all the arrangements, he called a disciple in the late stage of key training for the Lin family to understand the situation. Then he rushed to the vicinity of the formation again and strictly guarded the formation. As soon as Lin Gang left, Lin Shiming and Lin Xianzi waved their hands to let the key training disciples of the Spirit Beast sect leave on their own. The two looked at each other and their faces were not very good. In Xi'an City, they had learned that the Chu State Demon sect had been sending foundation-building monks to plunder and destroy various spiritual mines. The spiritual stone vein that can supply spiritual power for the city defense formation is the most important. Yunjing Mountain is a medium-grade vein. It is reasonable to arrange a purple mansion cultivator in such a dangerous time. But at this moment, it is a late-stage foundation-building cultivator, even if there is a third-level peak monster beast. But after all, most of the monster beasts of the Spirit Beast sect are raised, and the intelligence of the monster beasts is far inferior to that of the cultivators. At a critical moment, they cannot match a cultivator who has reached the great perfection of foundation building. In addition, Yunjing Mountain has only 2 late-stage foundation-building cultivators, 2 middle-stage foundation-building cultivators, and 1 early-stage foundation-building cultivator. Among them, the 2 late-stage cultivators include Lin Gang, and another cultivator named Cheng Yuang is responsible for supervising the spiritual stones in the vein. There are not many foundation-building cultivators. No wonder Lin Gang was very happy when he saw them coming. Shiming, please arrange for the family cultivators to assist in defense. Lin Xianzi said. Lin Shiming also nodded. According to the situation in Yunjing Mountain, if it were spread out, I am afraid that the first target of the attack of the demon sect would be. Su Daole was still in seclusion at the moment, waiting for the 3 major families to come before coming out together. After discussing with his father Lin Haoyan, Lin Shiming decided to take turns to guard. One person guarded for 3 days. After the discussion, Lin Shiming also took the initiative to go to the formation wall to assist in the defense, and Lin Shiai, Lin Yuking and others from the Lin family also went with him. If Yunjing Mountain is seen from above, it is like a mirror of a lady lying in the mountain, and around the mirror is a wall. However, it cannot be regarded as a city, but more as a fortress. Lin Shiming is also constantly looking at the entire Yunjing Mountain at this moment, and his spiritual sense is constantly covering it. Inadvertently, he suddenly touched Lin Gang's spiritual sense, and the latter sent doubts, but Lin Shiming retracted it very quickly. This made him a little embarrassed. This was the first time he fully expanded his spiritual sense after his spiritual sense broke through, but this time the spiritual sense was expanded, but it was not completely fruitless. On the contrary, he had a general understanding of the topography of Yunjing Mountain in his mind. After all, they were only here to assist in the defense. If the cultivators of the Heavenly Demon sect came aggressively, Lin Shiming was not a pedantic person. He would still need to run away when it was time to run away. When Lin Shiming walked to the city wall, Lin Gang also came over, but the latter just smiled, greeted him casually twice, and arranged a cultivator of the 9th level of key training to follow him, and then left again. Lin Shiming also knew the latter's meaning, but he didn't say much. Instead, he found a position on the city wall and began to check the entry's secret realm of refining equipment. On this city wall, it is naturally impossible to practice, even if it is physical training or spiritual cultivation. It is a good thing to check the secret book and comprehend the essence of it. As for the matter of the city gate fortress, he was not in a hurry. Although Su Daole was unreliable and still did not show up, Lin Gang was doing his job and there would be no big problem. In this way, Lin Shiming took turns to assist in the defense of Yunjing Mountain for another half a month. At this time, 2 spirit boats arrived in the sky almost at the same time. These 2 spiritual boats were different from the previous Lin Shiming. He did not have to ask. Almost as soon as the token flew out, the group of people came down hand in hand under the golden light, just like immortals descending to the earth. However, their cultivation was also extremely luxurious. Both families were actually purple mansion families. One was the Yi family in the Qingxuan sect, and the other was the Lu family in the Lingxiao sect. There were 5 foundation-building cultivators in both families, including 1 in the late foundation-building stage, 3 in the middle foundation-building stage, and 1 in the early foundation-building stage. The entire Yunjing Mountain finally had 19 foundation-building cultivators at this moment. 5 late foundation-building cultivators, plus 8 early foundation-building cultivators, and 6 early foundation-building cultivators. This force was finally not small. Lin Gang still greeted him with a smile. Where is fellow Taoist Su? The late foundation-building cultivators of the Yi and Lu families were obviously not interested in Su Daole, and they said it directly at this moment. You know, Their families instinctively guarded a third-level spiritual medicine garden, but they didn't expect that because Su Daolei needed help, he disliked the Lin family from Yunzhou of Qingxuan sect as too weak, so he transferred them here. Although the middle-grade spiritual stone mine is precious, it does not mean that all the middle-grade spiritual stone veins are middle-grade spiritual stones. There are also low-grade spiritual stones. It's just that the middle-grade spiritual stones reach a certain proportion, which is called a middle-grade spiritual stone vein. But how can this compare to the spiritual medicine garden, where you can get a lot of oil and water just by scooping it up with your hands? And here, they have to be restrained by Su Daolei. Fellow Taoist Yi, fellow Taoist Lu, senior brother Su is still practicing hard to protect Yunjing Mountain from the invasion of the demon sect. I hope he can give us a better chance of winning at the critical moment. Lin Gang was respectful again, and then he led the Lu family and the Yi family to Yunjing Mountain. Is this a cultivator from the Lin family? Sure enough, he is from Yunzhou. The late-stage foundation building cultivator of the Lu family was not very old. He glanced and saw Lin Shiming's token, and then sneered. Obviously, all the anger towards Su Daolei had now reached Lin Shiming's side. It seemed that if Lin Shiming was not too weak, they would not have been sent to defend the middle-grade spirit stone mine. Chapter 157 Dinner. Lin Shiming glanced at them coldly, but did not say anything, allowing them to sneer at him. The monk from the Lu family simply smiled even more. The Lin family didn't just send a monk in the early stage of foundation building, did they? Would such a monk be unable to withstand a blow from the demon cultivator of the heavenly demon sect? Don't worry, fellow Taoist Lu. This time, the Lin family also has fellow Taoists in the late stage of foundation building coming. Yunjing Mountain is absolutely safe. Please be careful with your words, fellow Taoist Lu. Lin Gang replied, with some anger on his face. Even though the Yi and Lu families are purple mansion families, his Lingxiao sect is a major sect. In front of him, these two openly sneered at the monks who came to help, which was simply a slap in the face of him, Lin Gang. The monk losing nodded and glanced at Lin Shiming again, with a contempt in his eyes still very strong. At this moment, Lin Shibai and others around Lin Shiming were a little angry. The two families came up and sneered at their family. They were only in the late stage of foundation building, while the seventh uncle could be compared with the cultivators who had reached the great perfection of foundation building. However, Lin Shiming did not speak at this time. Instead, he continued to meditate. Seeing that Lin Shiming did not answer, the cultivators of the Yi family and the Lu family followed Lin Gang without interest. He kept muttering that he wanted to see Su Daolei. Seeing the group leave, Lin Shiming's eyes were full of doubts. He did not remember angering the two families, nor did he remember having a feud with the monk Lu Xing. Most cultivators can read 10 lines at a glance and have a photographic memory. As a cultivator of foundation building, if he had any intersection, even if it was just a one-time encounter, he could recall it, which made him even more confused. None of the cultivators in the late stage of foundation building were young boys in their 20s, but they would find fault everywhere. As for the Lin family, they had just arrived, so it would not affect the interests of the Yi family and the Lu family. As a foundation building cultivator, he only had to defend the middle grade spirit stone mine for 1 middle grade spirit stone per month, which was 12 middle grade spirit stones per year. For a key training cultivator, it was indeed a lot, but for a foundation building cultivator, it was such an important and dangerous task, so it seemed a little less. The Yi family and the Lu family were purple mansion families, and they would not be angry about this. No matter how hard he thought, he could not figure it out, so he had to give up. Without Lin Gang, he also needed to be more cautious. The demon sect cultivators would not fight with you in a row and forcefully attack the Yunjing Mountain formation. In Yunjing Mountain, in a wing room, the handsome cultivator headed by the Lu family, with one hand around a female cultivator, was touching her all over, and with the other hand holding a wine glass, drinking spirit wine. Opposite him, the late foundation building cultivator of the Yi family was not drinking wine, but spirit tea. He gently picked up a teacup, took a sip, and put it down again. Then he couldn't help but take another sip, but his expression showed that he didn't enjoy it very much. This tea is only a second-level spiritual tea after all. Monk Yi Xing said with some regret. Monk Lu didn't reply. After drinking a glass of wine, he fed the female cultivator a sip, and his other hand was also busy and happy. Come to think of it, Brother Lu, why did you treat a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building like this just now? Is there something mysterious about the cultivator in the early stage of foundation building? Monk Yi seemed to have long been accustomed to Lu Changming's personality and continued to ask. Lu Changming finally replied, and his mouth corners were raised, bullying a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building. Isn't it just like you like drinking tea and I like drinking wine and dual cultivation, all based on preference? Besides, if it weren't for the weak strength of the Lin family, you and I brothers would have gone to guard the third-level medicine garden of the spirit beast sect long ago, and there would be no need to come to this small mine. Lu Changming was angry, and the strength of his hands increased a little while he spoke. Ah! The female cultivator next to him couldn't help but hum. Go away, you spoil the fun. When fellow Taoist Su comes out of retreat, I will have a good talk with him. How can he be so good at this kind of stuff? Lu Changming directly sent the female cultivator away. The female cultivator was immediately terrified, but under Lu Changming's angry glare, she had to leave the room. And Yi Mingqiu finally raised a little interest. Brother Lu, are you referring to fellow Taoist Su's other opportunities in Yunjing Mountain? On the other side, Lin Shiming was also exchanged back to Yunjing Mountain by Lin Haoyuan. As soon as Lin Shiming came back, he immediately found Lin Xianzi. Learn about the information of the Lu and Yi families. But apart from knowing that the Lu family is a beast control family and the Yi family is a famous sword cultivation family in Qingzhou, most of the other information is useless. Lin Shiming told Lin Xianzi about the strangeness of that day, and Lin Xianzi also shook his head, obviously not understanding. Lin Shiming had to go back to practice in silence. And just 3 days later, the Lin family and others were finally notified to attend the dinner prepared by Su Daolei. The dinner was not grand. With a powerful enemy at hand, it couldn't be grand. After all, Yunjing Mountain still had to be defended. Lin Shiming followed Lin Xianzi, still looking taciturn. Soon the two entered a lobby. The lobby was decorated with luxurious brocade carpets. The decorations on both sides were also extremely luxurious and grand, with porcelain and jadeware adorning it. In the lobby, Lin Shiming finally met the deacon of Yunjing Mountain, Su Daolei. A slightly fat middle-aged monk who liked to squint. Su Daolei's clothes were the same as the pattern of the hall, with a very beautiful crown, brocade clothes and gorgeous belts. Almost at the same time as the two of them entered, the monks of the Yi family and the Lu family arrived almost at the same time. Thank you all for coming from afar to help. Su Daolei walked forward and greeted them one by one. Then, a small storage bag was handed to each monk. My fellow Taoists, this is the defensive intention that Su prepared for everyone. I hope that everyone can work together to defend Yunjing Mountain and contribute to the 3 sects of Zhao State to resist the demon cultivators. Su Daolei continued to speak, and Lin Shiming inadvertently probed into the storage bag with his spiritual sense. He saw 100 middle-grade spirit stones in it, which surprised Lin Shiming. There were a total of 13 foundation-building cultivators from the 3 families. Even if one cultivator gave 100 middle-grade spirit stones, it would be equivalent to 130,000 low-grade spirit stones. And Lin Xianzi, Lu Changming, and Yi Mingqiu, late-stage foundation-building cultivators, could not have the same spirit stones as him. That would not only fail to guarantee fairness, but would make the cultivators feel that Su Daolei was not sincere enough. In this way, the spirit stones must have been given a lot, and now that the frontline spirit stones are consumed so much, Su Daolei still gave such a lot of spirit stones, which is intriguing. After a banquet, the cultivators had another extravagant third-level spiritual meal. During this period, apart from the Lu family still being unfriendly to the Lin family, there were no other problems. However, the Lin family cultivators frowned even more. However, they were not targeting the Lu family, but the unknown dangers. Su Daolei offered so many benefits and called 2 late-stage foundation-building cultivators from the Purple Mansion family, which showed that he was also dissatisfied with the protection of Yunjing Mountain. Chapter 158, Top-Grade Spiritual Stone. However, Lin Shiming and Lin Xianzi still didn't understand. After the banquet, Lin Shiming also learned from Lin Xianzi that there were 800 middle-grade spirit stones in his storage bag. That is equivalent to 80,000 low-grade spirit stones. Such an amount is a huge fortune even for a foundation-building cultivator. This fellow Taoist Su is really good at this. After returning to the wing room where he lived and opening the spirit isolating formation, Lin Shiming couldn't help but sigh after thinking about it all the way. This Su Daolei was clearly reminding them that there were treasures in Yunjing Mountain, and it was also very likely that there would be cultivators from the demon sect coming. But Jin Daole, a foundation-building perfect cultivator, was not invited to come. Lin Yi and Yi's spirit stones may not be comparable to Lu Changming and Yi Qilming. Each of them has their own schemes, but it's a pity that we don't have a bigger backer. Lin Yi and Yi was also a little helpless. Even though they had the help of Zixu and Sanrun and didn't need to go to the front line, they came to such a middle-grade spirit stone mine in Yunjing Mountain, but they were still kept in the dark and calculated. After leaving Lin Yi and Yi's room, Lin Shiming also returned to his own room. He wanted to wait for the system prompt, but unfortunately, the system prompt still prompted the knowledge of refining, without mentioning the monk surnamed Lu, let alone the treasures mastered by Su Daole. Otherwise, his vision would be much clearer. Time passed quickly, and a month passed in the blink of an eye. It is said that the situation in Xi'an City is getting worse and worse. The spiritual veins and mines controlled by the major spirit beast sects in Xi'an province have also been attacked by the disciples of the Xi'anmo sect and the corpse training sect, and a large number of treasures have been looted. Fortunately, the spirit beast sect took out a rare treasure mirror, which illuminated the entire Xi'an province out of thin air. All the cultivators above the Purple Mansion in Xi'an province would appear in the mirror, which made it so that there were no more Purple Mansion cultivators in the attacking team. Success. Lin Shiming turned off the furnace, put away the true fire, and took out a sky blue magic sword. The magic sword is only a second-level low-grade magic weapon. Even a cultivator in the middle stage of key refining may not be interested in it, but it is indeed the first second-level low-grade magic weapon he has refined. Lin Shiming put away his magic sword, pondered again, and began to review the refining process just now, summarizing and refining. It's a pity that Lin Yi is not here, otherwise, as his first time refining a weapon, he can ask Lin Yi for advice. After another quarter of an hour, Lin Shiming stood up from the futon and walked out. Today is another 3-day rotation. He needs to go to the city wall of Yunjing Mountain to replace his father. On the city gate, Lin Shiming flew up to the city wall, but found that another deer Changming also flew up by chance. The latter flew up and replaced a mid-stage foundation building cultivator from the Lu family. Why are the cultivators of the Lin family so careless about the city gate? Both the Yi and Lu families have late-stage foundation building cultivators on duty, but your Lin family doesn't have any. Lu Changming said a few words and directly labeled the Lin family as working without effort. Next to them, Lin Gang and Lin Haoyun also came over. Lin Haoyun naturally had a headache. He thought that what happened a month ago was over, but he didn't expect Lu Changming to come to his door again today. Lin Gang is even more so. In his opinion, the Lin family is his family. During this period, he also had a lot of topics with Lin Haoyun and Lin Shiming. Especially Lin Shiming, who took out spiritual tea from time to time and respected his elders. Such a young and talented cultivator who knew etiquette and knew how to advance and retreat made him want to help him. Fellow Taoist Lu's teachings are very good, but my uncle likes quietness and does not like excitement. I have not reported this matter to you, but with my uncle's spiritual sense, he can cover the entire Yunjing Mountain at any time. Presumably, fellow Taoist Lu is also a great man in the late stage of foundation building. If there are no defects, the breadth of his spiritual sense should be able to testify. Lin Shiming said slowly. What a good way to talk back, but I don't know if your strength can be as powerful as your mouth. Lu Changming's face turned cold. Fellow Taoist Lu, what is this? Lin Gang took a step forward, full of dissatisfaction at this moment. Lu Changming ignored him again and again. Even if the other family has a Purple Mansion cultivator, he has the entire Spirit Beast sect behind him. Don't worry, fellow Taoist Lin. I just saw a Spirit Beast bag hanging around this young friend's waist, and heard that young friend Lin has a powerful 3rd-level Spirit Beast, so I want to discuss the deal with the beast. Lu Changming explained. Lin Shiming was also nervous when he heard this. At this moment, he thought of a possibility. This Lu family cultivator is very likely related to the cultivator who stole his mantis monster beast. You know, he still has a heavenly demon bag and books and magic weapons in his storage bag. Otherwise, why would Lu Changming want to fight the beast right away? But he thought again. In Qingyuan City, although he exposed the golden-winged mantis during the battle to break the city, he definitely did not expose that he killed the Spirit Beast sect cultivator. Otherwise, the other disciples of the Spirit Beast sect and the Giantans Henren would not have bypassed him at that time. Even if we take a step back, The Spirit Beast Clan sect disciples have nothing to do with family cultivators like Lu Changming. After all, from the perspective of his Lin family, if Lin Shimo died, he would not have mobilized the family to conduct a large-scale investigation, let alone 4 years, and he would still be determined to take revenge. Fellow Taoist Lu, you are joking. The Lin family is just a declining family. Not to mention that there are no fierce spirit beasts. Even if there are, how can they be a match for fellow Taoist Lu? Lin Shiming shook his head and did not accept it. Lu Changming was aggressive and must have ulterior motives. Lin Shiming was not a hot-blooded boy in his early 20s, so how could he follow Lu Changming's way? While the few people were still in a stalemate, a spirit boat appeared in the sky. Uncle Lin, the front line is here to dispatch spirit stones. The key training disciple of the Spirit Beast sect behind him spoke. Sure enough, a token flew out in the air. The front and back of the token were emitting light, and the front and back were both the word spiritual beast. After Lin Gang confirmed that there was no doubt, he was also ready to open the formation and let the cultivators on the spirit boat enter. The cultivators in charge of dispatching spirit stones had to reach the great perfection of foundation establishment at the lowest level, otherwise the high-level cultivators would not be at ease, so he did not dare to neglect it. Lin Shiming only felt a prompt suddenly appear in his mind. Please be careful of sneak attacks, pay attention to the cultivators who control the corpses, you may get high-grade spirit stones. As soon as the system prompt came out, Lin Shiming's eyes changed instantly. Although the prompt was only 3 sentences, it meant that the Heavenly Demon Sect and the Corpse Training Sect were about to attack Yunjing Mountain. And sneak attacks are very likely to have internal responses. At the same time, he finally understood why Su Daole valued this medium-grade spirit stone vein so much. It was probably because of the appearance of high-grade spirit stones. He wanted to use the high-grade spirit stones to form a small spiritual energy tide, break through the late stage of foundation building, and enter the perfect stage of foundation building. Be careful, that spirit boat is a trick. Lin Shiming suddenly shouted. As Lin Shiming shouted, Lin Gang also paused for a while, but at this moment the formation flag was still opened. In their opinion, even if the Heavenly Demon Sect and the Corpse Training Sect were to attack, they would choose to do so at night. Chapter 159 Chen Lao Mo. Yunjing Mountain, the vast array light shield disappeared in an instant. When Lin Shiming yelled, Lin Gang also reacted, and hurriedly sent out the array flag again, ready to start the array again. However, a huge black millstone, like a hill, crushed down fiercely. It blocked the flow of the array light shield. With a harsh friction sound of kakuka, the golden light shield was still being worn away. The spirit boat in the sky also disappeared in an instant, and a dozen black-robed Cheyenne Mo sect monks rushed out. There's still one who knows the goods, but it's too late. The black-robed monk in the lead, as soon as he unfolded his cultivation, saw the spiritual power of the perfect foundation spreading. Lin Shiming's body was pressed and a little breathless. Yes, Chen Lao Mo. Lin Gang's face was also shocked. This person is one of the true disciples of Cheyenne Mo sect. Although he is not the top direct descendant, his cultivation treasures are all the top among the demon cultivators. Only the demon sect would be willing to arrange such a genius disciple to plunder resources. In addition to Chen Lao Mo, other demon cultivators also cast spells quickly, and their cultivation bases were not lower than the middle stage of foundation building. Especially Chen Lao Mo's black millstone, which was obviously the top among the third-level top-grade magic tools. He pinched his fingers with one hand and kept urging it. The spiritual light came out, and the width of the formation became larger and larger. Old demon, how dare you! Lin Gang also roared, and waved his hand in the air. A golden horned green bull came out and hit the millstone directly. On the side, Lu Changming's face was also a little ugly. He waved his hand in an instant, and 2 red Luan birds flew out, attacking the demon cultivators from the left and right. The other foundation building cultivators also took action instantly, and Lin Shiming was among them. At this moment, they were all in danger, and they shared the honor and disgrace. If the other foundation building cultivators died, he, as a disciple of the 3 righteous sects, would also die. He might even be caught to practice demon heads and demon corpses. The Cheyenne Gang sword formation and Zhuanshan purple wood sword formation were used almost at the same time. The huge momentum in an instant also alarmed many people. At this moment, Lin Shiming was the consciousness of the late stage of foundation building. He controlled the 2 sword formations, and ordinary people in the middle stage of foundation building could not resist it. Lu Changming over there was also shocked. The most surprised was Lin Gang. He remembered that this consciousness was clearly the consciousness of Lin Xianxi that day. That time he was still wondering why Lin Xianxi's consciousness was like the consciousness of a cultivator who had just entered the late stage of foundation building. Now it seems that it is clearly the consciousness of Lin Shiming, a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building. Lin Shiming's attack was extremely fierce. The sword formation opened and closed, the sword light continued, and suppressed it. However, the dozen or so demon cultivators cast spells together, bloodlight filled the sky, and various magic tools instantly covered it. After all, Lin Shiming was just one person. He only felt that the sword formation was hit hard, and a blood evil magic orb poured out a large amount of magic water, which could actually corrode the sword formation on the surface of the spirit sword. Lin Shiming's face tightened instantly, and he quickly took back his magic sword with a look of pain on his face. Especially the array sword of the Purplewood Zuanshan sword array, which was nurtured by his mind and must not be corroded. In the end, the 108 swords of the Xiangang sword array were contaminated by dozens of second-level top-grade magic weapons. In a short period of time, the Xiangang sword array could not exert its highest power. The battle on the scene was almost one-sided. Lin Gang and Lu Changming, 2 people and 3 beasts, were almost suppressed by the leading foundation-building great perfection cultivator. The other foundation-building cultivators of the Lin and Yi families were suppressed by the other demon cultivators and retreated step by step. With a rumble, the black millstone in the sky flashed with a faint light again, and a gust of cold wind swept by. The golden array light shield shattered, turned into bursts of spiritual light, and annihilated under the millstone. Everyone, retreat quickly, Yunjing Mountain Spirit Stone Mine. Lin Gang was full of disbelief, shocked and angry, but at this critical moment, keeping more power and defending the Spirit Stone Mine was the most important thing. The token was cracked, and this matter also had to be spread. Almost at the same time, all the key training monks of the Lin family boarded Lin Shiming's spiritual boat. Lin Shiming had already reminded everyone through the system, asking them to board the spiritual boat first, and he himself began to pinch the magic formula. In an instant, a large number of purple gold vines flew out. The dense and thick purple vines, like a giant python in the void, kept crisscrossing and bounding the demon cultivators. The vines that had been invincible before, the next moment, encountered a burst of poisonous fog, and the vines began to shrink directly. The next moment, they began to turn into purple water. Lin Shiming was also extremely shocked. This was his first time facing a demon cultivator, but he had never expected that a demon cultivator would be so difficult. And almost at this time, a sword-like blue-gold lotus broke through the air. 7th Uncle. Lin Shiming was relieved when he saw Lin Xianxi coming. As expected, Lin Xianxi came over and instantly recovered a little bit of the decline. One after another, the blue-gold sword lotuses turned into sword lights, which cut the poisonous fog and the corrosive water clean. Almost at the same time as Lin Xianxi appeared, Yi Mingqiu of the Yi family also came with a sword. Compared with Lin Xianxi's mysterious sword intent, Yi Mingqiu was half a point weaker. But Yi Mingqiu's magic weapon was a 3rd-level top-grade magic weapon. Combined with a powerful sword technique, his momentum was no less than Lin Xianxi's. The sword quickly flew into the air and turned into the King Shengang sword, which fell fiercely on the forehead of the demon cultivator. The situation was relieved by half, but it was still not optimistic. Several mid-stage foundation-building cultivators from the Lu family and the Yi family had many contaminated magic weapons, and their combat power was reduced at this moment. Even a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building, who originally belonged to Yunjing Mountain, fell directly on the spot. Everyone, continue to withdraw to the Yunjing Mountain mine and wait for support. At this moment, Lin Gang still shot out several spiritual talismans. He wanted to pass on the information, but he saw the black robe of the last demon cultivator suddenly began to expand as if it was blown up. The next moment, he saw black formation flags appearing in his body, and in a few breaths, they were thrown around the walls of Yunjing Mountain. 10 magic banners made of spiritual energy suddenly appeared, spewing black smoke and blocking the sky. Is this the 10 Suns heavenly demon formation? Lin Gang's message was also swallowed by the black fog, and it was obvious that the message transmission failed. Old Demon Chen, you are really willing to do such a big thing? Lin Gang could only reluctantly throw out a flying sword, violently shaking the black millstone, and then he fought and retreated. Now that he has no formation, he can't compete with the demon cultivators of the heavenly demon sect. It's better to go to the side of the mine and let Su Deolei's third-level peak spirit beast deal with the demon cultivators of the heavenly demon sect. As Lin Gang retreated, his spirit beast, the golden horned green bull, also moved and retreated to the back. As soon as Lin Gang retreated, Lu Changming's pressure increased dramatically, and all kinds of black cloud devil hands grabbed at one of them. Retreat. Lu Changming glanced at Lin Gang with hatred, and wanted to curse Lin Gang for his revenge, and retreated quickly. Yi Mingqiu and Lin Xian's opponents were both cultivators of the heavenly demon sect in the late stage of foundation building. The two nodded to each other and retreated together. Lin Shiming behind him had already driven the spirit boat and retreated towards the mine. Although many cultivators of the three sects were injured in the foundation building stage, fortunately only one person died. As long as they gathered together and prepared the formation, with Lin Xianzi and Yi Mingqiu, two great sword cultivators, there was still a great chance. Chapter 160, Hatching of Spirit Ants. At this moment, he was still a little puzzled. He didn't understand why Su Deolei hadn't appeared yet, and there was still a late foundation building cultivator at the mine. No, there are also cultivators from the corpse training sect. Lin Shiming suddenly reported, thinking of the system prompt. Seventh uncle, let's just run away. Lin Shiming suddenly sent a voice message to Lin Xianzi. At this moment, he looked unusually calm. The system prompt was to pay attention to sneak attacks and control the corpse training cultivators, which meant that the old demon Chen in front of him was not the most powerful. Especially there were top-grade spirit stones. The other party made such a big move to come and rob, probably because they knew the news of the top-grade spirit stones, which meant that those cultivators from the corpse training sect had already entered the mine from underground. The more Lin Shiming thought about it, the more shocked he became, and cold sweat broke out on his back. He was just wondering why the grinding wheel magic weapon resisted the formation, but the old demon Chen did not rush in from the formation, but instead tried his best to destroy the formation. At that moment, they had not yet reacted, and they were the most lethal. But if it is for the purpose of the corpse practicing Earth Escape technique to enter the mine first and snatch the top-grade spirit stone, then it is understandable. Shiming, this. Lin Xianzi also hesitated. At this time, it would be extremely irrational to rush out, and he would most likely be strangled by Chen Lao Mo directly. Besides, Lin Gang is still here, and he can't be a deserter unless it is absolutely necessary. We can't rush out. Lin Xianzi simply glanced at it. If they were separated from the foundation building cultivators, they would never be able to escape, and the key training cultivators such as Lin Yi would become a burden. You know, there is also the Ten Sons Heavenly Demon formation outside. Seventh uncle, there is a high possibility that something went wrong in the mine. We should act according to the situation. Lin Shiming still transmitted the sound, and then while releasing the sword formation, he kept throwing down seeds one by one. This is the purple gold vine seed cultivated by Lin Shiming. At this moment, he forced himself to calm down, and kept injecting spirit into the purple gold vine seeds all the way, and directly began to catalyze, and all the purple gold vines strengthened the golden spear roots. He also informed Lin Haoyun that he would take the elixir and force the launch of the third-order middle-grade spirit boat to ensure the safety of the rest of the Lin family. His father's cultivation at the beginning of the foundation building period was not good enough, and he would even become a burden on the field. The mine was not far from the city wall, and the group arrived quickly. What they saw was a huge mine cave. Lin Gang immediately sent a sound transmission directly into the cave. Su Deolei used the top-grade spirit stone in the mine cave to break through the foundation building perfection. Only he knew about this. However, when the sound transmission sound entered, it was not Su Deolei or another late-stage foundation building cultivator who responded, but a group of training corpses rushed out of the mine cave. These training corpses were all blood corpses that Lin Shiming had seen, and compared with Lin Shimo's blood corpses, these blood corpses were like killing machines, with sharp and long fangs that were breathtaking, and the thick blood evil aura almost condensed into a cloak of evil armor. How could this happen? Lin Gang was incomprehensible. How could there be blood corpses in the underground mine of the Spirit Beast sect? With the appearance of the blood corpse, everyone felt the entire mine vein shaking, and the spiritual power coming from underground was even more enormous. It's the three-headed fire snake fighting. Lin Gang soon learned that Su Deolei, as a disciple of the Spirit Beast sect, had a 3-headed fire snake, a peak level 3 demon beast, which was what he was most proud of. But seeing that the blood corpse could still reinforce the upper part, I'm afraid Su Daole below was in danger. And how could this be possible? Others didn't know, but he, Lin Gang, knew that Su Daole had discovered a small vein of high-quality spiritual stones in the mind vein below. It was precisely by using the small vein that Su Daole broke through the foundation building great perfection not long ago. The reason why he didn't see the Lin family for some time was to consolidate his cultivation and not reveal the truth. Su Daole even promised him 10 high-quality spiritual stones. Although the conversion price of these 10 high-quality spiritual stones was only 100,000 spiritual stones, in fact, one high-quality spiritual stone can almost be exchanged for tens of thousands of low-quality spiritual stones, and almost no one will exchange it. The pure spiritual energy of the top-grade spiritual stone is no less than that of the barrier-breaking pill. For some foundation-building cultivators who have encountered bottlenecks in their cultivation, it is simply a magical pill. Because of this, he is willing to guard the city wall step by step. Everyone, flee separately. There are at least 3 level 3 peak blood corpses below. Lin Gang's face was ashen, but in order to survive, he had to break through. And everyone broke through together. As for the 10 Sons Heavenly Demon formation, he didn't believe that these people didn't have treasures from the family. Brother Yi. Lu Changming also spoke to Yi Mingqiu. The two of them were a little panicked at this moment. If they had known that they would encounter such a disaster in the spiritual stone vein, even going to the front line would be better than this. Almost all of the foundation-building cultivators took out the magic tools that they had not taken out before. Lin Gang was a bagua plate. After he threw it out, it shot out various 5-colored mysterious lights, and actually directly fixed Chen Liumo's top-grade grinding plate magic tool. And the golden horned green bull under him carried him and turned into golden light and flew out. Yi Mingqiu also took out 3 swords again, and the sword, together with the previous one, formed the 4-season sword technique. In an instant, the sword light filled the entire sky, directly beheading a demon cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building, and then rushed to the periphery with the foundation building cultivators of the Yi family. The same was true for Lu Changming next to him. He released 10 monsters in one breath. Each monster was extraordinary, ranging from the early 3rd stage to the late 3rd stage. Don't leave anyone alive, Chase. Chen Liumo laughed instead of being angry. The 10 Sons Heavenly Demon formation was not so easy to break. Today, everyone here must die, and all the spirit stones belong to the Heavenly Demon sect and the corpse training sect. Everyone dispersed. At this time, Lin Xianxi and Lin Shiming were not in a hurry. Of course, it was useless for them to be anxious, unless they were willing to give up Lin Shibai and others. Lin Xianxi was the first to send a message to Lin Shiming. Shiming, I will create an opportunity for you later. I haven't tried to use the Renshu Zheng sword Ju with all my strength yet. Lin Shiming's heart trembled. His 7th uncle meant that he would reverse the technique again, just like before, losing his life and using a fatal sword to create an opportunity for him. And at this time, he didn't mention Lin Shibai and others. Obviously, Lin Xianxi only had one idea at the moment, that Lin Shiming should live. Lin Shiming was also very anxious, but the next moment, he suddenly sensed the spiritual contract of the divine consciousness, and there were more and more dense spiritual contracts. It was as if he had countless suns in an instant. The soul-devouring ant has hatched. Lin Shiming was just a little excited. The power of the soul-devouring ant is that it can swallow all spiritual arrays. It's just a matter of speed, and it swallows silently. Even the cultivators who control the array can't detect it. That day in Qinghai City, this is why the Spirit Beast sect is so eager for the soul-devouring ants. Even if they cannot be tamed, if they are trained into treasures, they can restrain some spiritual formations. It is unknown whether these newly hatched soul-devouring ants can devour the 10 Sons Heavenly Demon formation, but he can only give it a try. At the same time, he can only hope that Lu Changming, an extremely arrogant late-stage cultivator, has some real skills and will not be destroyed by Chen Liumo in the blink of an eye. 7th uncle, listen to my arrangements, please, don't fight first. Lin Shiming persuaded. He now has to wait for an opportunity of life and death. Chapter 161 Counterattack. The entire Yunjing Mountain completely turned into hell. Many of the methods used by the demon cultivators involved blood, and the evil spirit was overwhelming, with black fog filling the sky. In particular, The 10 Sons Heavenly Demon Formation also condensed 10 demon heads and headed towards Lin Gang, Yi Mingqiu and others. At this moment, Chen Lao Mo was worthy of being a true disciple of the Heavenly Demon sect. He fought Yi Mingqiu and Lu Changming alone. You should know that Lu Changming had a total of 10 third-level monsters, not counting the 2 red eagles before, and 2 third-level late-stage green-eyed tigers appeared. 2 people and 4 beasts fought against Chen Lao Mo alone. The Black Millstone was too invincible. No matter what attack, invincible sword energy or mid-level spells, they were all crushed by the millstone. And he laughed again, rushed in, and actually started a melee with the 2 green-eyed tigers. Obviously, his body refining technique was also very strong. Lin Gang faced the other 2 late-stage foundation-building demon cultivators, and the remaining demon cultivator was faced by Lin Xianzi. Obviously, in the eyes of the demon cultivators, Lin Xianzi's treasures were obviously not as many as those people. Even though Lin Xianzi's swordsmanship was great, there were 3 demons condensed by the formation next to him. For a while, the Spirit Beast sect was at a disadvantage everywhere, and no one could break out, and it was even difficult to reach the border of the 10 Sons demon formation. The battle was at stake, and the pressure faced by Lin Shiming and other cultivators in the early and middle stages of the foundation building was not small at all. Even his consciousness noticed that just now, 3 more cultivators in the early and middle stages of the foundation building had fallen. You should know that there were only 19 foundation building cultivators in Yunjing Mountain, and now 4 of them died in a short period of time. The most critical Su Daole and another cultivator in the late stage of the foundation building were trapped in the mine cave. Lin Shiming felt the situation more and more tense, especially at this moment. His father Lin Haoyun was also facing a demon cultivator in the middle stage of the foundation building. If he hadn't relied on a few defensive magic tools to defend himself, he would have been in great danger. On the contrary, those key training cultivators turned into birds and beasts at this moment and scattered, and actually reached the edge of the 10 Sons demon formation early. Those demon cultivators didn't care. After all, even if they practiced Kigen for 10 days and 10 nights, they couldn't break the formation. No, I have to break it. Lin Shiming made up his mind. He was facing a demon cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. The demon cultivator stretched out his hand and condensed a blood claw out of thin air, grabbing Lin Shiming. Seeing that the demon cultivator was so arrogant, Lin Shiming pinched his fingers and 9 formation swords flew out. Suddenly, a huge purplewood Zuanshan sword formation was formed. However, before Lin Shiming's attack fell, the demon cultivator suddenly laughed, and then he also took out a black gourd. A large amount of black water that corroded the spiritual weapon before gushed out and rushed towards Lin Shiming's sword formation. Young. The demon cultivator kept sneering at this moment, despising Lin Shiming and other righteous people. Without the magic weapon, what can he use to fight him? However, the next moment, before the black water covered the magic sword, dozens of dense golden spear tips suddenly gushed out from the ground. The demon cultivator's face suddenly changed, and he took out a large number of spiritual talismans and blasted them fiercely. However, after seeing so many purple gold vine roots, he immediately took out a bloody straw man. It was a 3rd-level substitute straw man, which could substitute for the calamity at a critical moment. Lin Shiming had also seen a 2nd-level substitute treasure at the auction. However, before he could pinch the straw man, he felt a sudden pain in his head. The next moment, his body was pierced by the golden spiritual root. He never thought until his death that he would be killed by a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building with a spiritual attack. Almost as soon as Lin Shiming killed this foundation building cultivator, many demon cultivators looked at Lin Shiming. This was the 2nd demon cultivator to die. The first one died under Yi Mingqiu's sword, but you have to know that Lin Shiming was only in the early stage of foundation building. At this moment, Yi Qilming, Lin Gang and other late-stage foundation building cultivators all looked at him. And it was also at this moment that the 3 mid-stage foundation building demon cultivators gave up their opponents and killed Lin Shiming. The next moment, 3 blood blades slashed at Lin Shiming, and Lin Shiming had to catalyze hundreds of purple gold vine spiritual roots again, turning them into golden spears and shooting at the 3 demon cultivators. At this moment, the 3 demon cultivators were extremely shrewd and extremely high. Even if Lin Shiming used his spiritual consciousness to attack, he could not make them lose consciousness for 3 breaths. And 3 breaths were enough for them to react to the golden spiritual spears. As expected, Lin Shiming's face turned pale when facing the three mid-stage foundation building demon cultivators. While his spiritual power was consumed in large quantities, he was full of worry. However, Lin Shiming's attack also obviously overturned some situations. The next moment, Lin Gang took the lead in fighting desperately. He spit out a mouthful of blood, which fell on the Bagua magic weapon in his hand. Suddenly, a five-color light of extreme richness appeared, illuminating the two late-stage foundation building cultivators and fixing them. The two late-stage foundation building demon cultivators were also extremely terrified, fearing that they would be attacked by the golden-horned green bull, and they almost simultaneously turned into blood mist and instantly retreated more than 100 meters. It was the blood escape technique. Seeing this, Lin Gang was not angry but happy. He was not trying to kill anyone. At this time, only a fool would spend his true energy to kill someone. He turned around suddenly, holding three bloody thunders in his hands, and threw them towards the black curtain of the 10 Suns heavenly demon formation. In an instant, lightning and thunder flooded the black spiritual curtain like an ocean, and the 10 heavenly demons immediately screamed with extreme resentment. The golden-horned green bull also turned into a huge golden horn and rushed towards the black curtain formation. There's a chance. Lin Gang was overjoyed. At almost the same time, Yi Mingqiu and Lu Changming also showed their means, bursting out desperately, and rushed towards the outside of the black spiritual curtain. They also had several bloody thunders in their hands. Lu Changming's monster rushed towards Chen Liumo like crazy, and started to explode directly. First, the third-level early-stage monster, followed by the third-level middle-stage monster, and the roar was endless. The scene exploded almost in an instant, and Lin Shiming also began to pinch the spell frantically at this time. The true essence in his body had dried up, and the spiritual platform built by the heart of heavenly wood began to sparkle, and a large amount of true essence gushed out. At this moment, hundreds of densely packed golden spirit spears emerged from the ground, and the three old demons in the middle stage of foundation building instantly floated into the air again, this time directly floating 300 meters. However, Lin Shiming took out a spirit drum and began to beat it violently. The rumbling drum sound suddenly turned into layers of ripples, heading towards the three demon cultivators. With another burst of the god-splitting blade, the three demon cultivators screamed almost at the same time. All the prepared defensive means disappeared, and hundreds of golden spirit spears also suddenly increased by nearly twice the speed again. You are not on the early stage of foundation building. The three demon cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building were all in disbelief, and fell to death, turning into corpses and falling down. Lin Shiming waved his hand and picked up the 4 storage bags one by one, and then rushed towards Lin Haoyin again, and the latter's opponent demon cultivator fled in the blink of an eye. He knew that both the corpse cultivators inside the mine and the demon cultivators outside had the advantage, so they would not fight to the death. Chapter 162 Breaking the Formation. Lin Xian's his white hair suddenly turned snow white. It was different from the white color he had evolved. The white color at this moment was extremely old. He reversed his skills. Just for another sword. His sword changed from blue gold lotus to gold blue lotus at this moment. The name was reversed, but for Lin Xianzi, it was more familiar, more murderous, and more fierce. The whole sky became a special place for swords. The sword energy spanned 30,000 miles. The light of a sword chilled the 19 states. The lotus sword intent in the sky almost cut off the arm of the late foundation building demon cultivator at the first sight, and he still used the blood escape technique to escape. Lin Xianzi did not chase him, and took Lin Shiming and Lin Haoyin to rush to the periphery of the formation. At this time, Chen Laomo was extremely embarrassed by the self-explosion of the spirit beast, and his face was full of bloodthirsty killing intent. Ignorance. The cold smile of Chen Laomo soon showed the result. The blood evil thunder did blow open a wide hole, but that wide hole was directly blocked by 3 demons. The demon disappeared, and its body turned into black clouds and smoke again, forming a new formation. The formation was still very solid. The golden-horned green bull crashed into it, and the whole black curtain began to sag. However, 3 demons gathered again and continued to block it. Even the golden-horned green bull was covered by the demon, and began to be corroded by the flesh, and blood flowed. The demon was like eating supplements, and roared excitedly again. Lu Changming and Yi Mingqiu on the other side almost ended up in the same fate. The 10 Suns Demon Formation is indeed the signature 3rd-level top-grade formation of the demon sect. The few moments that were almost destroyed were repaired again. At this moment, Their true essence was exhausted, and they were suppressed more violently by the demon cultivators who caught up with them. Among them, Lu Changming was the worst. Because of the self-destruction of the spirit beast, he also self-destructed the spirit contract, which had a very serious backlash on his consciousness. If it weren't for Yu Minqiu's continuous outbursts, Chen Liumo almost crushed Lu Changming to death. "Draw the sword!" Lin Shiming shouted, and Lin Xianzi responded instantly. A green lotus sword, like a void green lotus blooming, countless sword energy, like a sea of swords, rushed towards the 10 Suns heavenly demon formation. At almost the same time as the formation, 3 blood evil thunders were also thrown out from Lin Shiming's hands. "It's useless." The demon cultivator in the late stage of foundation building also shook his head and laughed. Sure enough, after the attack, 4 heavenly demons appeared in the formation, annihilated into black mist, and the formation was repaired. At this moment, everyone also understood that if the power could not break through the level of 10 heavenly demons, it would be impossible to break through the formation. The power of 10 demons is estimated to be equivalent to the power of the early stage of the Purple Mansion. The formation did not break, and the Lin family fell into trouble again. At this time, several blood corpses suddenly flew into the spiritual cave of the mine. Then, Su Daole, who had reached the great perfection of foundation building, rushed in with a 3-headed fire snake, but at this moment, the 3-headed fire snake only had 2 heads, and one head had been torn off. Su Daole did not even look at the others, and rushed out of the formation with the 3-headed fire snake. The speed was extremely fast and terrifying, like a meteorite, hitting the black curtain fiercely. Almost at the same time as Su Daole rushed out, the ground was like a zombie cave. First, 3 golden iron corpses rushed in and rushed towards Su Daole, and then black-robed people appeared one by one, and behind them were blood corpses. There were a total of 4 people from the corpse training sect, one with a great perfection of foundation building, who was also the owner of the golden corpse, 1 in the late stage of foundation building, and 2 in the middle stage of foundation building. 4 cultivators, but there were nearly 23rd level blood corpses. In an instant, Lin Gang, Lu Changming and others were even more desperate, and then everyone looked at Su Daole, hoping that he could solve the 10 demonic array. However, the fiery red meteorite burst out with unparalleled power, and finally transformed into 9 demons. After all, it did not reach 10 demons. The formation failed to break through, and the black curtain formation was still intact, and the 3 golden corpses immediately entangled Su Daole and his 3-headed fire snake. "Fellow Taoists, the 4 of us will attack the formation together, and reach an attack that the 10 demons cannot resist, otherwise we will all be trained into corpses by the golden corpse." Su Daole spoke loudly. His face was extremely livid, and the corners of his mouth and clothes were stained with blood. It was obvious that he had suffered a lot of injuries under the mineral vein. The golden corpse he mentioned was the great perfection cultivator of the foundation building led by the corpse training sect. With the 3/3 level peak corpses he controlled, he was also one of the best among the corpse training sect's foundation building disciples. In addition to the 3-headed fire snake, Su Daole also took out several 3rd-level top-grade magic tools. As a person with the backing of the Purple Mansion, all his treasures were extremely luxurious, and they were considered one of the true teachings in the Spirit Beast sect. "Golden Corpse, why don't you act quickly?" Chen Liumo also roared. If Su Daole rushed out, he might really escape. This time, there were hundreds of high-grade spirit stones, and it was very likely that a Purple Mansion cultivator would catch up. After Chen Liumo finished speaking, he also drove the black millstone and smashed it towards Su Daole and others. Jin Shizi blew the flute in his hand fiercely, and the 3 golden corpses turned into golden light and disappeared in an instant. The next moment, they slammed into the 3-headed fire snake. The fierce battle almost turned the world upside down. At this time, Lin Shiming also found the right opportunity and pinched the formula again. Purple vines grew all over the sky, like a sea of vines. They rushed towards the besieged demon cultivators. Lin Xianzi also attacked again, but both of them seemed to be counterattacking before death, and they looked weak and tragic. The golden evil thunder was used up, and Lin Xianzi was getting older and older. On the contrary, the demon cultivators were not in a hurry at all. With a golden corpse and Chen Liumo around, who could break through the 10 Suns heavenly demon formation? The terrifying battle broke out again. Lu Changming directly killed the last 3rd stage late stage spirit beast in a suicidal manner. Lin Gang also ordered the golden horned green ox to rush towards the black millstone, and was finally blasted into meat paste. In addition, the three-headed fire snake controlled by Su Daolei also entangled the three golden corpses one by one and was chopped off. The three of them fought hard again, and various magic weapons crashed into the black formation curtain. With a loud bang, they shattered on the formation curtain of the Ten Sons Heavenly Demon formation. However, at this moment, Chen Liumo took out another black banner, and at the critical moment, it suddenly covered the attacked area, and countless small demons flew out and blocked the attack in a suicidal manner. In the end, the attack of Su Daolei and the other four only managed to smash 10 heavenly demons. The formation still had no opening. The four of them were instantly in despair, and Chen Liumo also laughed. Today, no cultivators from the state of Zhao will stay here. At this moment, Lin Shiming suddenly sent a voice message to Lin Xianzi, and then suddenly, a group of soul-devouring ants flew out and bit a hole several tens of meters long in the array. 3 third-grade top-grade spirit boats flew out of the array almost at the same time. It was Lin Shiming, Lin Xianzi, and Lin Haoyin who controlled a formation to fly out. 3 people in 3 directions, Lin Xianzi and Lin Shiming fled alone, only Lin Haoyin took the key training cultivator. And out of the thousands of soul-devouring ants, he only took back 800, leaving 200 to continue to maintain the loopholes in the Ten Sons Heavenly Demon Array. Su Daolei, Lu Changming and others in the distance were instantly overjoyed, and also rushed out with all their strength. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, The Soul Corpse. On the plains of Xi'an Province, Lin Shiming's spiritual bow did not dare to stop for a moment. At this moment, the 3 waves of the family were divided into 3 groups and ran together. If any of them was caught up, it was fate, and he could only do so. After all, when they came out of the family and were summoned, everyone was actually prepared. Of course, at this moment, Lin Xianzi was under the greatest pressure. He was in the late stage of foundation building and was the most seriously injured. Lin Shiming did not dare to look back, nor did he dare to use his spiritual sense to explore too far. If the spiritual sense was too far, it would be sensed by other people's spiritual sense. At this time, the sky was full of demon cultivators' detection spiritual sense. Once the spiritual sense met and sensed, it would be a dead end. Of course, with his spiritual sense, if someone detected him, he was confident that he could sense it even if Chen Liumo personally chased him. He had the cultivation of the early stage of foundation building, but he had the spiritual sense of the late stage of foundation building. This was his greatest reliance. It was a pity that his physical cultivation was only in the late stage of key training. Otherwise, if he was also in the physical strength of the foundation building period, he would not be afraid of the late stage of foundation building. The further Lin Shiming walked, the lower the spirit boat flew. And there was only one person in it. His spirit boat had shrunk to more than 2 meters in size, like a small boat, soaring between heaven and earth. Lin Shiming took out a Kinglian Taoist robe and prepared to find a cave to hide. If he ran away aimlessly, he would most likely die. It would be better to hide. However, the next moment, his consciousness probed the ground, but suddenly found that there was a very hidden cocky light underground. In the cocky light, there was a black-robed monk. At this time, the black-robed monk obviously knew that he had been discovered. 3 spirit talismans suddenly threw out from his sleeves, broke out of the ground, and turned into 3 cocky yellow snakes, swallowing Lin Shiming. Lin Shiming was terrified. If he hadn't deliberately explored the underground, he might have been attacked by the people of the corpse training sect. This was too cruel. Lin Shiming released the purplewood Zuanshan sword formation. Without the poisonous water that contaminated the magic weapon, he could finally use the sword formation without any scruples. Under the sword formation, 3 cocky spiritual pythons instantly turned into pieces, like paper paste, as if they were not 3rd-level spiritual talismans, but more like 2nd-level spiritual talismans. When Lin Shiming was puzzled, the 3 cocky spiritual pythons broke, but only 3 bloodlights appeared, and it turned out that 3 blood corpses suddenly rushed towards Lin Shiming. It turned out to be a corpse-hiding talisman. Lin Shiming was also shocked. The black-robed corpse training sect was really insidious, and actually played this trick. The level of the blood corpses was all at the middle stage of the third level, and the distance was so close that he was a little flustered. He could only take out the heavenly demon bag suddenly. The heavenly demon bag whistled and blew out a huge strong wind, instantly rolling up the 3 blood corpses and making them unable to get close. At the same time, Lin Yi retreated suddenly and pulled away. He threw down the few seeds left in his hand. Good treasure. The black-robed monk's eyes glowed, and ordinary strong winds could not blow his blood corpses at all. And this demon bag seemed to be specially designed for those with strong flesh and close combat. How much true essence do you have left? The black-robed man joked, then pinched his fingers again and took out another blood-red coffin from his storage bag. The whole coffin was 3 feet long. As the black-robed middle-aged man bit his finger and pressed hard on the coffin, in an instant, the coffin began to shake constantly. The next moment, with a loud bang, the coffin lid flew out, and a 2-foot-sized monster corpse suddenly flew out. This was also the black-robed monk's natal spirit corpse. As soon as this corpse came out, it was immediately filled with murderous aura, and bloody wind and rain pressed down on Lin Yi. The strong wind of the heavenly demon bag had no effect on this natal spirit corpse. In front of this natal spirit corpse was obviously a flexible leopard monster. It was trained into a natal spirit corpse. Not only was it extremely fast, but it also retained a certain amount of intelligence. Compared with the blood corpse, it was simply many times more powerful. If the blood corpse is equivalent to a rigid third-level mid-stage body refining cultivator, then this natal spirit corpse is definitely equivalent to a third-level mid-grade peak body refining cultivator. The pressure of a training corpse is enough to rival that of an ordinary late-stage foundation-building cultivator. Lin Yi instantly took out the shocking god drum, and the drum sound and the god-splitting blade attacked the black-robed cultivator together. The control of the 3 blood corpses was immediately released, and they were blown to pieces by the heavenly demon bag in the air. But just when Lin Yi wanted to attack the black-robed cultivator, he saw a gust of fishy wind coming, and the life-defining spirit corpse seemed to rush towards Lin Yi with more excitement. Boom! The next moment, Lin Yi also slapped the spirit beast bag fiercely, and the red-haired demon monkey suddenly jumped out, and the Zuanling mountain suddenly smashed out, and the spirit mountain weighing tens of thousands of pounds suddenly smashed the life-defining spirit corpse away. The red-haired demon monkey also screamed excitedly. It had failed to fight the golden-winged mantis, and at this moment it had been excited about the battle for a long time. Just now, when Lin Yi was fighting in Yunjing Mountain, it had been constantly moving in the spirit beast bag. As the red-haired demon monkey became excited, the flames on its tail suddenly rose, and the next moment it directly covered its entire body, and its whole body was bathed in fire. The rising flames, like the lava of a volcano, with a terrifying temperature, rushed out the next moment and continued to smash the natal spirit corpse. At this moment, the black-robed monk also reacted, and when he saw the red-haired demon monkey, his face suddenly sank. He didn't expect that Lin Yi actually had a trick up his sleeve in the crisis of Yunjing Mountain. However, the solemnity on his face only lasted for a moment, and he took out another black flag. This black flag was only the size of a palm, like a formation flag. With a wave of his hand, it turned into a giant banner that supported the sky. As the giant banner swung, it was like a zombie hell. Countless zombies poured out from it, from the second-level iron corpse, the second-level blood corpse, the third-level early blood corpse, the third-level early green-haired zombie, all kinds of various types, all rushed towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi's Zuanshan sword formation flew out again and turned into a circular trap formation. The sword energy continued to grow in it, and all the zombies that approached were immediately chopped into pieces. However, just when Lin Yi thought that the zombie seed tactic was not working, he heard a bang, and a plain green-haired corpse suddenly smashed towards the sword formation. The wood-attributed sword formation with strong lethality and defense collapsed instantly. Another natal spirit corpse. Lin Yi was extremely surprised. You must know that the natal spirit corpse of the corpse training sect, like the natal spirit beast of the spirit beast sect, can grow with a cultivator, but the resources consumed are also increased several times, and in daily cultivation, not only must you take care of your own cultivation, but you must also use your true essence to polish the natal spirit corpse from time to time, otherwise the spirit corpse will not be able to advance, but will affect the advancement of the cultivator. It was completely unexpected that this black-robed monk had two natal spirit corpses. It seemed that seeing Lin Shiming's surprise, the black-robed monk was also very proud, but his pride did not last long, and Lin Shiming's shocking godrum started again. This time he was prepared, and there were so many training corpses. Lin Shiming still had to guard against his green-haired corpse, but he saw a burst of golden light appear, and a huge sickle foot suddenly chopped down at the green-haired zombie's forehead. Instantly, the green-haired zombie was chopped and flew away, with a huge crack on its forehead, but the green-haired zombie was still fine. Chapter 164, Probing and Counterattack. The black-robed monk also became nervous. Lin Shiming took out another third-level spirit beast, and it seemed that both of them were not simple like his lifelong spirit corpse. He was so scared that he quickly took out 3 spirit talismans. However, as soon as his spirit talisman was taken out, a white light flashed in the void, as if a spider web passed through. A head flew high. At this point, the black-robed monk died. As soon as the black-robed monk died, those ordinary zombie blood corpses suddenly began to be at a loss, like walking corpses without intelligence. Only the 2 lifelong spirit stones suddenly became more excited and began to suppress the red-haired demon monkey and the golden-winged mantis. The flames of the red-haired demon monkey suppressed the leopard training corpse very much, but it was still bombarded. It is conceivable that the strength of the training corpse, but the golden-winged mantis lived up to his expectations and suppressed the green-haired zombie tightly. The huge sickle left no less than 10 huge cracks on the green-haired zombie. If it were an ordinary body-refining monk, they would have died. Lin Shiming first put away the green-haired zombie with a heavenly demon bag, and then the 2 beasts suppressed the leopard corpse and put it into the heavenly demon bag. These 2 life spirit corpses are obviously worth cultivating, and their bodies are also extremely strong. If they can find a way to control them from the monks of the corpse training sect, it would be a good idea to bring them back to Fangmu Mountain to guard the mountain gate. Moreover, these life spirit corpses obviously have their own intelligence, and the control requirements do not necessarily require the practice of the corpse training sect's exercises. On the contrary, those blood corpses are worthless and their strength is far lower than that of the monks of the same level. Lin Shiming ordered them to be burned to ashes by the flames on the red-haired demon monkey. Lin Shiming put away the storage bag, a fireball spell burned the entire ground, and another catalysis spell catalyzed the ordinary plants nearby until they were catalyzed to their original height. After a glance, there were not many flaws, and Lin Shiming was satisfied and ready to leave. However, just when Lin Shiming wanted to leave, a beam of light suddenly flew from the horizon. It was extremely bright and extremely fast. He was very familiar with it. It was the cultivator of the Lu family, Lu Ziming. Lu Ziming was also extremely embarrassed at the moment, as if he had been seriously injured. He was heading towards him. When Lin Shiming saw this, he immediately drove the spirit boat. The latter was a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building. He did not think he was a match for a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building. Moreover, he was being chased by such a master of the corpse training sect. What kind of cultivation level would the person chasing Lu Ziming be? When he thought of this, Lin Shiming activated the spirit boat even faster. Moreover, not only was his own true essence dried up, but even the true essence of the Xianmu spiritual platform was also exhausted by more than half. The remaining true essence was at most the true essence of an ordinary cultivator in the early stage of foundation building. Lin Shiming quickly took out a middle-grade spirit stones, but he suddenly remembered the system prompts. The disciples of the corpse training sect and the sneak attacks were all verified at this moment, but there was no sign of the top-grade spirit stones. He then drove the spirit boat and took out the storage bag of the corpse training sect monk. When the storage bag was opened, the first thing that caught his eye was not the bottles and jars, nor the jade slips. Instead, it was a Namu box with gold thread trimmings on a wooden frame. The box was half open, revealing more than 30 crystal clear and gorgeous spirit stones inside. These spirit stones were the same size as the middle-grade spirit stones, and they were also of different shapes, as if they had just been mined from the mine and had not been polished. But the amount of spiritual energy was so terrifying that it was even purer than the spiritual energy of the third-level top-grade spirit vein in Fangmu Mountain. Top-grade spirit stones. Lin Shiming couldn't help but feel his heart beating. He never expected that someone would send him top-grade spirit stones from afar. The value of these spiritual stones is much higher than other magic tools, And with these pure high-grade spiritual stones, only about 5 are needed to release the pure spiritual energy, which can be used to break through the middle stage of foundation building, and the bottleneck can be relaxed by 3 points. Su Deole used the small high-grade spiritual stone vein to break through the foundation building. Of course, at this moment, the more important thing is to restore the true essence. Lin Yi grabbed a wood-attributed high-grade spiritual stone and began to restore the true essence. As soon as the spiritual energy of the high-grade spiritual stone was inhaled, it felt extremely pure, and it instantly filled up the spiritual platform a lot, and there was no need to condense it at all. It was exceptionally smooth, and the true essence became visibly thicker. Lin Yi was flying while controlling the spiritual boat and restoring his true essence. In an instant, he was in a good mood. However, Lu Changming behind him was also chasing, but what puzzled Lin Yi was that Lu Changming did not control the spiritual boat, but still controlled a long sword, but his speed was not slower than the third-level high-grade spiritual boat. "Friend Lin, there are no pursuers behind you, no need to run," Lu Changming shouted earnestly from behind. His tone was quite urgent, but how could Lin Yi believe it? He didn't know why Lu Changming was so hostile to him. Then he heard Lu Changming suddenly say, "Friend Lin, I am Lu Xianwu's uncle. Your beast-raising pill formula and golden eagle were sold to you by Lu Xianwu." After hearing this, Lin Yiming's heart was suddenly filled with shock. Lu Xianwu's name, plus the beast-raising pill formula and golden eagle, he immediately thought of the monk surnamed Wu. Lin Yiming didn't reply, but he saw that Lu Changming actually started to run back, and the swordlight fled to the side. No longer chasing him. It was as if he knew he couldn't catch up with him, which was very strange. Not good. Lin Yiming was shocked. Not chasing him is not a good thing, which means that Lu Changming may know that he killed Lu Xianwu, and then speculate the whereabouts of the small magical tree. For a moment, Lin Yiming felt extremely bitter. He didn't know how Lu Changming knew it, but he believed that it must be Lu Changming who saw the shock on his face and sensed the high-grade spirit stone. Otherwise, he wouldn't run away. Lin Yiming hated himself for being too young and being caught. Is Daoyao Lu really the clan uncle of Daoyao Lu Xianwu? Lin Yiming didn't dare to bet, and he couldn't bet, otherwise the entire Fangmishan Lin family would be buried with him because of this news. Lu Changming wanted to escape, which meant that Lu Changming had reached the end of his rope. This old fox chased him desperately just now, probably for him to put pressure on him, and then to get some information from him. Of course, he also understood that Lu Changming must have treasures at the bottom of the box. Even if his mana and true essence were not enough, his magic tools were only 1 in 10, and he didn't even have a third-level spirit boat. He still wanted to bet. Otherwise, if the spirit beast sect pursues him, he can only escape from Zhao State, or seek refuge with a corpse training sect or the heavenly demon sect, and these two sects will certainly ask him to hand over the small divine power tree. Lin Yiming also said this to get information from Lu Changming. If Lu Changming stopped, it did not mean that he had fallen into the trap, but that Lu Changming's strength was still there, and this old fox would take advantage of the situation. If he escaped with his life, it would truly mean that Lu Changming paid a very painful price to escape from Yunjing Mountain. Otherwise, with his arrogant and domineering personality, even if Lin Yiming was a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building, he might have to fight him. Lin Yiming's third-order spirit boat was once again fully activated, but this time it was not to escape, but to hunt down a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building. If it had happened before, he would not have dared to believe it. Taking a day off, 4 chapters will be updated tomorrow night. Chapter 165 Wind, Fire, and Sand. Lin Yiming's third-grade high-quality spiritual boat was extremely fast, and he had a high-quality spiritual stone in his hand to restore his true energy. The distance between him and Lu Changming was visibly shortening. At this moment, his consciousness could see that Lu Changming was panicking, and he spit out blood from time to time. The third-grade high-quality magic sword under him was also slightly unstable, as if his true energy was exhausted. Seeing that he was about to be caught up, Lu Changming took out another spiritual talisman and began to speed up, and the distance was widened again. But Lin Yiming was surprised and doubtful at the moment, and did not dare to act immediately. How could Lu Changming, such an old fox, have such an expression on his face? If he rushed over immediately, he might be killed by the other party with a sword. The two chased and fled for another 1,000 meters. No. Lin Yiming was worried again. Lu Changming obviously also had a pill to restore his true energy. He had flown for so long, but his true energy had not been exhausted. Instead, he gave him a feeling that the other party was relaxed. Kill him first. Lin Shiming was also desperate at this moment. Lu Changming's expression was completely unpredictable to him. But he understood one thing from beginning to end. Lu Changming was running, which meant that he had no confidence in defeating himself, but he must have a final treasure to decide the outcome. At this moment, Lin Shiming took out the heavenly demon bag and began to release the strong wind. The heavenly sword formation was destroyed by the demon cultivator, and the purple wood Zuanshan sword formation was destroyed by the corpse cultivator. At this moment, Lin Shiming had to take out the heavenly demon bag to attack. As soon as the heavenly demon bag appeared, Lu Changming was filled with anger again, pointing his halberd and glaring. This heavenly demon bag was clearly a disciple of the Lu family in the spirit beast sect. This heavenly demon bag was given to that disciple by the ancestor of their Lu family. He disappeared in the Qingyuan mountains before. Now it seems that he was clearly hit by the trick of this Lin family kid. The strong wind of the heavenly demon bag blew, and Lu Changming immediately dodged, but while dodging, he threw out a talisman. As soon as the talisman appeared, meteorites began to rain down from the sky. Each meteorite was extremely huge, with a torrential flame, and densely packed. Just as it was about to hit Lin Shiming, a fiery red monkey appeared on the spiritual boat. As its tail swung, all the meteorites that approached it shattered and exploded into ash. This monster actually has a strange fire. Lu Changming was ecstatic when he saw the flames burning on the red-haired monster monkey's tail. He didn't expect Lin Shiming to be so lucky that he even found such a rare beast. In his eyes, Lin Shiming at this moment was in his pocket. As he waved his hand, several spiritual spells were pinched out, and the third-level superb magic sword under his feet suddenly shone brightly and shot towards Lin Shiming fiercely. The third-grade top-grade magic sword was so fast that it reached Lin Shiming in the blink of an eye. Its power was also extremely terrifying. The red-haired demon monkey took out the Zuanling mountain and smashed it hard on the third-grade top-grade magic sword, knocking it off its original track. But Lin Shiming could see with his naked eyes that the spiritual formation on the Zuanling mountain had been dispersed a lot. It was enough to see the power of Lu Changming's top-grade magic sword. Suddenly, Lin Shiming began to get jealous. After missing the sword, Lu Changming was extremely decisive and ran away again. Lin Shiming also caught up again, and in addition to the heavenly demon bag, he controlled 3 third-grade medium-grade magic swords to attack Lu Changming. The red-haired demon monkey also kept using the Zuanling mountain to smash Lu Changming, but Lu Changming took out several third-grade medium-grade spiritual talismans. Although the impact on Lin Shiming was not great, it still affected Lin Shiming's pursuit. After chasing for so long, Lin Shiming began to become anxious, but at the same time, he became more cautious in his heart. He told himself countless times in his heart that the other party still had a lot of tricks up his sleeve. In the air, he couldn't cast the woodvine technique, so this time, he threw the golden eagle directly out. The golden eagle of the late second stage was naturally very ridiculous in Lu Changming's eyes, but at the same time, Lu Changming also thought that Lin Shiming was probably annoyed that the golden eagle exposed him. Go! Lin Shiming pinched his fingers again, and this time the fingers were extremely complicated. The strong wind in the heavenly demon bag began to press towards Lu Changming like a sea of wind. It's useless. Lu Changming sneered, and then took out a third-level high-quality magic gourd and sucked all the strong wind. But the next moment his eyes suddenly changed, and he saw that in addition to the strong wind, he also sucked in 2 zombies. 1 beast zombie and 1 green-haired zombie. The 2 zombies almost became more violent when they saw the gourd sucking in, and they tore the spiritual light they sucked into pieces. They had just been absorbed by the heavenly demon bag, so how could they be willing to be absorbed by this gourd at this moment? Moreover, although this gourd can absorb spells and release spells, it has no suppression formation for living creatures such as spirit beasts and zombies. In an instant, the gourd was smashed open by the 2 irritable corpses, and they went straight to bite Lu Changming. After all, the 2 spirit zombies were a little bit less intelligent. Lu Changming used the gourd to absorb them, so they naturally thought that Lu Changming and Lin Shiming were in the same group. Are you a spy of the corpse sect? Lu Changming frowned and almost cursed in his heart. What kind of person is this Lin Shiming? It's okay to have powerful spirit beasts, but there is also such a powerful life spirit zombie. At this moment, he also hated it. If it weren't for Yunjing Mountain, All his spirit beasts were self-destructed by him to escape, and he wouldn't be fighting alone at this moment. As a spirit master, most of his combat power lies in spirit beasts. Otherwise, even if it is a cultivator who has reached the great perfection of foundation building, he is not afraid of a fight. Lu Changming's expression was also seen by Lin Shiming at this moment. The two spirit zombies attacked Lu Changming together, which also made him feel relieved. He had no ability to control the two spirit zombies, but at this moment he could only try his best. If the spirit zombies attacked him together, he could only run away. At this moment, he didn't have many trump cards, and Lu Changming must have another trump card. Sure enough, when the red-haired demon monkey and the two spirit zombies and Lin Shiming attacked Lu Changming together, the latter had one more top-grade magic weapon. It was a top-grade copper ring. At this moment, the red-haired demon monkey kept using the Zuanling Mountain to suppress his top-grade spiritual sword, and the top-grade copper ring suddenly entangled the two spirit zombies tightly, making them unable to move at all. The remaining gourd magic weapon flew out again, and Lu Changming suddenly jumped onto the gourd. The next moment, the gourd rushed towards Lin Shiming at an extremely terrifying speed. A third-level top-grade magic weapon can still fly. Lin Shiming was shocked. He didn't expect that this gourd magic weapon was not a top-grade magic weapon, as it showed at the beginning, but a top-grade magic weapon. As Lu Changming approached, the lid of the gourd suddenly opened, and countless red sand flew out. Wind, fire, and sand. Lin Shiming exclaimed again. The sand grains were shining with starlight and filled with flames. Even if these sands were ordinary materials, they were all third-level materials. Now they were refined into the top-grade gourd magic weapon, which was like an unstoppable killing weapon. Chapter 166, Narrow Victory. Lin Shiming's pupils shrank when he saw this. He simulated it countless times in his mind, but he didn't expect that Lu Changming actually had such a terrifying magic weapon. At the critical moment, Lin Shiming suddenly took out a Blood Evil Thunder. Throw it at Lu Changming. The Blood Evil Thunder was his own, given by his seventh uncle, and all thrown on the 10-sun sky curtain. However, when the Blood Evil Thunder exploded, it was covered by all the wind, fire, and sand. The dull thunder sounded, but it finally calmed down, and the blood-colored evil light was silent. The terrifying star sands and Lu Changming still shot fiercely. Unable to block or dodge. The red-haired demon monkey threw out Zuanling Mountain, and Lin Shiming threw out countless magic swords and controlled the magic swords to self-destruct. But it still couldn't blast away the wind, fire, and sand, and the gourd suddenly sprayed out several flame spells at this moment. Zuanling Mountain was also blown away, and the red-haired demon monkey swung its tail violently, and in an instant, flames filled its body, turning into a huge fire monkey. However, they were surrounded by Lu Changming's top-grade magic sword. The top-grade magic sword did not kill the red-haired demon monkey. In Lu Changming's eyes, the demon monkey was also in his pocket. At this moment, Lin Shiming was unable to stop it at such a close distance. In a hurry, Lin Shiming could only release all the soul-swallowing ants, a total of 800 soul-swallowing ants. Although these soul-swallowing ants were young ants, each of them had the strength of a late-stage second-level demon beast. When they grow up and absorb enough spiritual patterns and spiritual energy, it is not difficult for them to break through the third level. As soon as the soul-swallowing ants came out, they really went towards the wind, fire, and sand. When these soul-swallowing ants saw these star sands, they were not afraid, but more excited. They actually began to devour the spiritual light covering the surface of the star sand. Although the sand was powerful and looked continuous, there were only thousands of star sands. After being bitten by 800 soul-swallowing ants, the starlight suddenly dimmed and the power of wind and fire was greatly reduced. Lu Changming was instantly furious, and the top-grade gourd sprayed a large amount of flames to burn the soul-swallowing ants. The second-level spirit ants were still too fragile, and a large number of them were burned to death in an instant. Lin Shiming took out the remaining Xiangang sword formation and Jiushan Zuanshan sword formation, and suddenly released them towards the top-grade gourd. The next moment, they all exploded. The Xiangang sword formation was fine, but the latter Zimu Zuanshan sword formation's sword exploded, and Lin Shiming was the first to spit out a mouthful of blood. At this time, the wind, fire, and sand were blasted away and could no longer form a fighting force. Lu Changming's face was also very ugly at this moment. He had never expected that there would be so many variables in killing a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building, but fortunately he still had the top-grade guard itself, which was also a top-grade magic weapon, and countless flames gushed out. And Lin Shiming also suddenly released countless spiritual roots. These were the spirit-infused purple gold vines that Lin Shiming had planted during the battle. The golden spear spiritual roots were all burned to ashes by the flames, and the last flame rushed towards Lin Shiming's body, blasting countless defensive spirit talismans and spirit shields into pieces. At the critical moment, the golden eagle suddenly blocked in front of Lin Shiming, blocking most of the flames for Lin Shiming. It was burned cleanly, but the aftermath still hit Lin Shiming. Lu Changming finally breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. But before he could come back to his senses, a spiritual drum sounded. It suddenly stimulated his mind. It was the shocking drum. It's useless, Lu Changming said disdainfully, and at his neck, a spiritual talisman that defended against spiritual attacks also turned into talisman paper and dissipated. However, at this moment, a dazzling golden light rang out. At some point, a huge golden sickle foot suddenly fell on Lu Changming's forehead. Lu Changming's face changed drastically. He wanted to control the gourd magic weapon, but his true energy was insufficient, so he could only throw out a few spiritual talismans. But how could the spiritual talisman stop the golden winged mantis? It was immediately split in half and the gourd fell. Lin Shiming climbed out of the earth cave, his whole body charred. Enduring the severe pain, he first used the heavenly demon bag to collect the 2 spirit zombies, and then collected Lu Changming's storage bag and the abandoned magic tools. He looked at the remaining 80 or so spirit swallowing ants, and couldn't help but feel painful. The spirit swallowing ants that were finally obtained were now only 80 or so. This kind of spirit ant itself relies on numbers. At this moment, he can only wait for the spirit ants to mature and use the demon luring pill again to promote their reproduction. Then he took out a handful of green lotus seeds, threw them into his mouth, summoned the golden winged mantis, and Lin Shiming suddenly lay on its back. Then, the red-haired demon monkey also released flames, burning the entire land into scorched earth, leaving no other traces of the battle. After doing this, the monkey and the mantis suddenly ran in the opposite direction. After running tens of thousands of miles, almost beyond the range of the Purple Mansion cultivator's consciousness, Lin Shiming controlled the golden winged mantis to suddenly drill into the ground, and the red-haired demon monkey was put into his spirit beast bag. After diving thousands of miles deep, he stopped and began to take green lotus seeds, which barely stabilized his injuries. However, his horrible internal injuries were still erupting. If he had not practiced a mountain ape body refining technique this time, he would hardly have survived the flames. But even so, now he not only lacked true essence, but also had countless internal injuries. Not to mention the foundation building cultivators, even a key training cultivator at this time was no match for him. Lin Shiming did not think too much, and directly held a top-grade spirit stone in his hand to recover and heal his wounds. Finally, he took the green lotus robe from the golden winged mantis, covered his whole body, and began to retreat and heal his wounds. What he didn't know was that where he killed Lu Changming, a Purple Mansion cultivator stood on the burnt earth, with a face full of anger and doubt. Damn demon cultivator, there is actually a strange fire of heaven and earth. Lu Changming should have been killed. The Purple Mansion cultivator sighed, and did not look for it anymore, but looked behind him. Yi Mingqiu and Lin Xianci were here, and in addition, there was Lin Gang. But Su Daole was not here. At this moment, Lin Gang was shaking constantly, and then he knelt down suddenly, crying and begging for mercy from the Purple Mansion cultivator. Uncle Chen, all this was forced upon me by Brother Su, I have no idea about this matter. Lin Gang kept talking. But the so-called Uncle Chen, Xianling Sanrun, turned around with his hands behind his back. Then he grabbed at the void, and Lin Gang was in Uncle Chen's hand, like grabbing a chicken. Do you know or not? I will know after checking. Do you think that I can't detect your consciousness because you have the Sect's Jade Book? After Xianling Sanrun finished speaking, he took out a purple talisman and pressed it on Lin Gang's forehead. Then all the scenes condensed into a jade slip. The next moment, as his hand pressed suddenly, Lin Gang exploded directly in the void, turning into mincemeat, and blood splattered everywhere. We are not good at defending the mountain, please forgive us, Uncle Chen. Almost at the same time as the explosion, Lin Xianci and Yi Mingqiu, as well as the few remaining cultivators, all knelt on the ground, looking terrified. The serious matter this time is that Su Daolei and Lin Gang knew about it but didn't report it. They even hid the top-grade spiritual stone veins privately. They are really guilty of heinous crimes. Although you didn't know about it, you lost the veins, which is also a serious crime. Everyone return to Cheyenne province and fight on the front line until you kill 10 cultivators of the same level. Yes, thank you for your forgiveness, Uncle. Lin Yi and others all kowtowed again. Uncle Chen, I have something to ask for. I have a junior who is the first to discover the attack of the demon cultivator of the Cheyenne Mo sect. I hope you can help find his location for this reason. He must have been killed. Don't hold out hope. There are no traces of cultivators within a radius of 10,000 miles. Go back to Cheyenne province. I still have to go back to Yunling Mountain to mine the remaining top-grade spiritual stones. Xianling Sanren didn't care about Lin Shiming at all, a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building. On the contrary, the top-grade spirit stones were in great pain. A small top-grade spirit stone vein should contain thousands of top-grade spirit stones, but there were only more than 200 top-grade spirit stones left in the vein, and most of them were destroyed by the younger generations of foundation buildings such as Jin Shizi and Chen Leomo. If he hadn't arrived in time, there would probably be only 200 left. Also, notify the front line of Cheyenne province to arrest Chen Yunli and Jin Shizi, the two demon cultivators. Chapter 167 Qingming Iron. Near Yunjing Mountain in Cheyenne Prefecture, Lin Yi did not return to Cheyenne City immediately, but began to search carefully in the vicinity. He did not believe that Lin Shiming would appear, and at the same time he was extremely afraid that something would happen to Lin Shiming. The inner contradiction and anxiety made his face look older. The sequelae of Rinshu Zhenjinju became stronger and stronger. He estimated that he only had 20 years of life left. You know, at this moment, he was only more than 160 years old, and the upper limit of the lifespan of a foundation-building cultivator was 250 years old. In a cave, Lin Yi found Lin Haoyan. There were also a group of key training cultivators with Lin Haoyan. For the Cheyenne Mo sect and the corpse training sect cultivators, there was no need to chase the key training cultivators. Their whereabouts would naturally be exposed after those foundation-building cultivators fled. On the contrary, killing higher-level cultivators would be more likely to obtain more spiritual objects. 7th Uncle. Lin Haoyan looked up at Lin Yi and was also very excited. But seeing Lin Yi's increasingly aged face, it was as if he had seen Lin Yuki that day, with dusk in the sky. His excited heart cooled down again. And thinking of the monks who had died in the family this time, his face became even more gloomy. He didn't have the face to tell his 7th uncle, and at the same time he thought of Lin Shiming. 7th Uncle, didn't Shiming come with you? Lin Haoyan asked at the end, his voice getting smaller and smaller. He naturally saw Lin Yi's dejected face. You know, before, as long as Lin Shiming was there, he could always see Lin Yi's slightly comfortable expression. That kind of pride and relaxation was not on Lin Yi's face at the moment. Shiming broke through alone, and is still looking for him. Lin Yi also answered gloomily. Lin Yi roughly glanced at the Lin family's born clansmen, and then sighed helplessly again. This defense battle was definitely the biggest loss in the history of the Lin family. Almost half of the late key training monks of the head of the family fell. And they were also the pillars of the family's later generations. Fortunately, Lin Shiyi, Lin Haoyan, Lin Yuking, Lei Zhuan and other key clansmen are still alive, but they are more or less injured. Haoyan, you take the clansmen back to Cheyenne City. I will continue to look for 3 days. Lin Yi spoke again, and then left the cave, resolutely embarking on the journey of searching again. Since the chaos in Yunjing Mountain, he has not started to treat his injuries, let alone stop to restore his true energy and suppress his internal injuries. In the nameless underground, after an unknown period of time, Lin Shiming opened his eyes. The true energy in his body can now be circulated. Unlike at the beginning, he could only rely on the body of a body cultivator to run the breathing method to recover from his injuries. At this moment, the blue lotus seeds also began to take effect, slowly repairing the injuries in his body. But he still felt that his head was still in great pain. The self-explosion of the purplewood Zuanshan sword formation almost hurt his consciousness. Fortunately, he had the god-splitting art, and he could still practice and recover. Otherwise, at this moment, he couldn't even use his consciousness to explore the surroundings. The golden-winged mantis was still lying beside him, its golden body covered with 6 thin golden wings, and its 2 golden legs stretched out in front, motionless. After seeing Lin Shiming finally open his eyes, the golden-winged mantis began to squeak, with a hint of joy in its cry. The triangular head wanted to rub against Lin Shiming. Lin Shiming reached out and touched the head of the golden-winged mantis. This time, thanks to the golden-winged mantis, at that moment, he was really at the end of his rope. If it weren't for the golden-winged mantis' terrifying speed and attack, plus the concealment effect of the Kinglian Taoist robe, even if Lu Chengming's true essence was only 1/10 of what it had, and his consciousness was suppressed by the Jingshan drum, he would not be able to kill Lu Chengming in the end. And the consequence of Lu Chengming not dying was that he would definitely die. When Lin Shiming thought of this, he still couldn't help but feel a little scared. The battle that day was really too dangerous. Especially after the battle, he had no fighting power at all. Fortunately, the golden-winged mantis protected him. He trusted the golden-winged mantis the most. The former's strength and loyalty, as well as never causing trouble, were not comparable to the red-haired demon monkey. This was why he put away the red-haired demon monkey. After all, the golden-winged mantis was hatched from an egg, but he had to be on guard against the red-haired demon monkey. Lin Shiming took out some animal-raising pills and spirit beast meat to feed the golden-winged mantis, and then took out a set of formations to cover the surrounding 100 meters and opened up 3 or 4 stone chambers. After this, Lin Shiming continued to practice and recover. After a long time, Lin Shiming had long forgotten the concept of time, 1 month, 2 months, or even longer. As he exhaled a breath of turbid air, the true energy contained in the purple wood heart sutra filled his body, and Lin Shiming's previous injuries were finally healed. At this moment, he once again felt the power of the wood attribute technique, which had a miraculous effect on injuries and recovery. His spiritual consciousness was also fully restored under the cultivation of the god-splitting art, and he even felt that his spiritual consciousness had improved again. The surprises had not yet stopped. Lin Shiming looked inward with his spiritual consciousness and found that the true essence in his body was also more condensed. After breaking through the foundation, his true essence was inevitably a little frivolous, but this battle unexpectedly made his true essence condense. You know, it takes at least 10 or 20 years for a general foundation building cultivator. Just like Lin Shiming's father, Lin Haoyan, who had broken through the foundation for more than 10 years, but his true essence was still not completely condensed, and he could not cultivate to the peak of the initial stage of foundation building, let alone break through the initial stage of foundation building and reach the middle stage of foundation building. At this moment, he had just broken through the foundation for less than 6 years. This also means that as long as he is willing to practice hard immediately, he can break through the middle stage of foundation building in the next few years. However, Lin Shiming did not break through immediately. Not to mention that King Xuan's sect would be suspicious, and Lin Xianzi and other family elders would be worried, just because he broke through so quickly. He needed to think of a way to explain it to King Xuan's sect. After leaving the mine, there was a corpse in the storage bag, and it was obvious that he had used the top-grade spirit stones to break through. At that time, if it was serious, he would be searched for souls, or asked for spirit talismans, but no matter which one, he didn't want to see it. Lin Shiming finished his training and finally had time to collect a lot of his spoils. You know, this time, 90% of his soul-devouring ants died, leaving only 81. The Purplewood Zuanshan sword formation was destroyed, the Xiangang sword formation was also destroyed, and all the Blood Evil Thunder was used up. The loss was extremely serious. Lin Shiming first took out the storage bags of 4 demon cultivators. In the 4 storage bags, 500,000 low-grade spirit stones and hundreds of kilograms of Qingming iron were found. The hundreds of kilograms of Qingming iron were obviously the spirit iron mines in Xianhao that the cultivators of the Xianmo sect had swept before. You know, Qingming iron is a 3rd-level material, and it is also the best among them. These hundreds of kilograms of Qingming iron are worth at least 700,000 spirit stones. In other words, the income from spirit materials and spirit stones alone is 1 million low-grade spirit stones. In addition, Lin Shiming also obtained 5 3rd-level medium-grade magic weapons, 2 3rd-level high-grade magic weapons, and a 3rd-level substitute straw man. The medium-grade magic weapons were naturally not good enough for Lin Shiming at the moment, and the high-grade magic weapons were the gourd magic weapon that polluted the magic weapon and another magic knife magic weapon. It was a pity that both of these magic weapons required the practice of magic skills. Chapter 168 Big Gourd and Small Gourd. After looking at the storage bags of the 4 demon cultivators, Lin Yi took out the storage bag of the corpse cultivator, which he had opened before. There were 1,000 medium-grade spirit stones and 30 high-grade spirit stones in it. The income from spirit stones alone had reached 4 million low-grade spirit stones. At this moment, even though Lin Yi had been prepared, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Such a windfall, even ordinary foundation-building great perfection cultivators don't have it. You know, even for purple mansion cultivators, the currency in circulation is only medium-grade spirit stones, but at this moment, he already has a full 1,000 medium-grade spirit stones and 30 high-grade spirit stones. In addition to spirit stones, the storage bags of the corpse cultivators basically have no magic tools, but there are dozens of coffins, including cultivators who have just died, and iron corpses and blood corpses that have been half-refined. Seeing this, Lin Yi cremated all the unrefined and half-refined corpses and buried them on the spot. Although he did not dislike corpse training, he was still averse to training human corpses into corpse training. As for those who had already become corpse training, they could be returned to the family. The family also had a method for training corpses. Although it was only a yellow-grade method, it also gave more possibilities to the key training cultivators. If the Immortal Cultivation family wanted to grow, it naturally had to develop in a diversified way, so that more talents could be unearthed. In addition to the corpse, Lin Yi found several jade slips. Most of the jade slips recorded how to train corpses and how to temper the bodies of corpse trainers. After browsing around, there was no method for practicing corpse training, but there was a simple spiritual method for controlling corpse training. He also found out why the cultivator had 2 natal spirit corpses. The second spirit corpse secret method. This secret method is similar to the Cheyenne seed spirit secret method. It can also allow cultivators to have the functions of the main and secondary spirit platforms, but the main function of the secondary spirit platform is not as strong as the Cheyenne seed spirit, and can only cultivate corpse training. However, even so, it is still a relatively powerful secret method. Lin Yi accepted all the jade slips one by one. As for the remaining bottles and jars, he didn't look at them much, because he didn't recognize most of them. Finally, Lin Yi took a deep breath and took out Lu Changming's storage bag. The first thing that appeared in front of him was 3 magic weapons, a 3rd-level top-grade magic sword, Lion sword, a purple gold gourd, and the wind, fire and sands in the gourd. In addition, there was a golden iron ring, 2 top-grade magic weapons, and a 3rd-level upper-grade magic weapon. For Lin Yi, it was undoubtedly a surprise among surprises. You know, even his 7th uncle Lin Yi spent a lot of resources to ask the weapon refining master in Kingsun sect to refine it into a 3rd-level top-grade magic sword. This was also his only ordinary 3rd-level top-grade magic weapon. But now, he has 2 3rd-level top-grade magic weapons. Lin Yi first picked up the cloud sword. The 3-foot-long sword body of the Lion sword was green all over, with white cloud patterns engraved on it. The sword edge was extremely sharp and emitted a dazzling white light. He touched the sword tip with his finger, and the next moment, a blood mark appeared, and blood flowed out. Good sword. Lin Yi couldn't help but exclaimed, and then he input his true energy again. After inputting most of his true energy, Lin Yi found that the Lion sword was still motionless. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly, and it seemed that he couldn't use the top-grade magic weapon in a short time. Lin Yi looked at the purple gold gourd again. The purple gold gourd was fiery red, but the surface was inlaid with a large number of purple gold spiritual patterns, which looked more noble. Lin Yi controlled his consciousness to probe into it. The next moment, he suddenly realized, this gourd is divided into 2 gourds, the upper gourd is smaller, and the lower gourd is larger. It is a top-grade magic weapon. This is why he thought the purple gold gourd was a top-grade magic weapon at first, and was almost killed by Lu Changming on the spot. This move is probably not discovered by those who have reached the great perfection of foundation building. Lin Yi was afraid of this kind of magic weapon, but also marveled at it. At the same time, he was extremely happy, but the only drawback was that the big gourd used for flying was a wind attribute magic weapon, and the small gourd was a fire attribute attack magic weapon, so the attack was slightly insufficient. But fortunately, there was wind, fire and sands in the purple gold gourd. This kind of star sand would tempt even a purple mansion cultivator. Lin Yi opened the gourd cover, and the wind, Fire and sand continued to flow in the big gourd and the fire gourd, and the wind and fire energy that had been lost before was now fully replenished. The person who came up with this magic weapon is really a genius. Lin Yi was also extremely amazed at this moment. This magic weapon has so much wind and fire, and the wind, fire and sand will only become stronger and stronger. The value of this purple gold gourd is definitely above the giant sword. Lin Yi suppressed the joy in his heart and kept reminding himself that these two magic weapons could not be used in front of others. Then he looked at the demon binding ring. The function of the demon binding ring is similar to that of the heavenly demon bag. It is also a medium-grade suppression magic weapon. The only thing that is not as good as the heavenly demon bag is that it cannot contain living things. But the binding effect of the demon binding ring is stronger. If the heavenly demon bag is not careful, it may be cut off by a sword, but the demon binding ring will not. Lin Yi also carefully put away the demon binding ring. Finally, he looked at the other things in the storage bag. There were only 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, plus 1,000 medium-grade spirit stones. The spirit pills and spirit talismans were almost exhausted. There were surprisingly no secret manuals of martial arts. However, Lin Yi found a strange sheepskin map. The terrain marks carved on the sheepskin map were not what he had seen before, so he had to put it away and leave it for research in the future, or wait for the system prompt to appear. Then Lin Yi took out the remaining 81 spirit-swallowing ants. Each of them was now the size of a baby's fist. However, after swallowing the wind, fire and sand, some fiery red star spots began to appear on the back of these spirit ants. The 81 spirit ants also became extremely fierce and kept making fierce squeaking sounds. It was obvious that they had swallowed the spiritual light of the wind, fire and sand, and some mutations had occurred. However, he didn't know whether this mutation was benign. However, feeling that these spirit ants were more ferocious and their bodies had become larger in a short period of time, he was relieved. He took out a small basin of the third-level spiritual liquid for the spirit ants to devour. At the same time, he used the spiritual contract again to strengthen the contract connection. After finishing the soul-devouring ants, Lin Yi also began to refine the magic tools. He first refined the small gourd of the purple gold gourd, and at the same time refined the demon binding ring. At this moment, he did not have the Xiangang sword formation or the purplewood Zuanshan sword formation, and he was still a little lacking in confidence. After refining, another 3 days passed, and Lin Yi finally stabilized completely. He expanded his spiritual sense and looked around. He soon reached the surface. After realizing that there was no danger, he took out the Earth Escape Talisman and began to escape from the ground. After fully expanding his spiritual sense, he finally felt relieved after not detecting any demon cultivators. He was really worried that during this recovery period, Cheyenne Hao would fall and become the hinterland of the Cheyenne Mo sect and the corpse training sect. It would be difficult for him to escape. After recalling the direction of Cheyenne City, Lin Yi also took out the third-level upper-grade flying boat and drove towards the direction of Cheyenne City. Chapter 169, Battle. In Cheyenne City, there is an extremely vast river that goes straight into half of Cheyenne Hao. The water of the long river is rushing, and the momentum is huge. From a distance, white water splashes from time to time. It is the famous Tongshan River in Zhao State. Tongshan River comes from the entire Cheyenne Mountains, and Cheyenne Mountains is a place with more monsters and more terrifying than Qinghai Mountains. Therefore, the source of Tongshan River cannot be traced, but the destination of Tongshan River is known to span Zhao State and Chu State and go straight to the sea. It is also Tongshan River that divides the border between Zhao State, Cheyenne Hao and Chu State. Cheyenne City in the west of the river is like a wild beast, dominating the Cheyenne Fortress, and the east of the river is full of the territory of the demon cultivator demon sect. The demon sect's army is pressing on the border, and it is also pressing on the Tongshan River, attacking Cheyenne City. As long as Cheyenne City is lost, the entire Cheyenne State will no longer have a stronghold. At this moment, many cultivators stood on the city wall, looking at the Tongshan River, their eyes full of melancholy and worry. Only the beast ring on the highest peak of Cheyenne City could make people feel at ease. That was the magic weapon of the Golden Core Patriarch of the Spirit Beast sect, Cheyenne Shao's Hunren, the Beast Control Ring. At a corner of the city wall, the Lin family cultivators gathered here. Lin Yi sat in the front. At this moment, he still had the face of a young man, but his white hair began to split and dry, and his eyes showed aging. Lin Yi next to him did not speak at this moment. Too many people in the family died in this national war. However, what bothered them most was that Lin Shiming's whereabouts were unknown. They even began to regret why they let Lin Shiming come. With Shiming's talent, he would definitely be able to achieve the Purple Mansion after 100 years of meditation in the family. Lin Yi thought of the small magical tree, the 4th level spiritual vein, and the shining fruit tree, but at this moment, none of them meant much. However, Uncle Qi, Shiming will definitely be fine. I am an old man and I am not dead, how could he be? Lin Yuqing was the first to speak. At this moment, there are only a dozen or so Kegan cultivators left in the Lin family, and they all nodded. For the Hao generation cultivators, Shiming is the one they watched grow up, and for the Shi generation cultivators, Lin Shiming is always the banner that walks in the front. Well, I have killed 8 late foundation building cultivators in total. If I kill 2 more in the next battle, I will have another 2 months to find Shiming. Lin Yi looked at Tongshan River, and in his heart he was abnormally looking forward to the attack of the Mo sect. And Lin Yi also clenched his fists. His strength was not enough, but he also said softly in words that only he could hear. 8 short. At this moment, Lin Yi and Lin Yi, several people couldn't help but clench their fists. They naturally knew that Lin Shiming was in trouble because of protecting them. If they had the foundation building cultivation at this moment, even if they couldn't change the result, they could still contribute. When the Lin family was resting, they could hear the sound of war drums in the distance. As expected, the heavenly demon sect began to attack again. A black fog spread towards the Tongshan River, 10 meters, 100 meters. Soon, it covered the entire surface of the Xi'an River. The black fog was still trying to come to Xi'an City. In Xi'an City, the flags began to interweave and manifest. Under the dazzling spiritual light, they turned into dazzling lights, shining the black fog directly on the surface of the Xi'an River. A lot of black fog was directly dissipated, revealing the heavenly demon sect monks wearing black robes. In the distance, people carrying coffins appeared one by one. Everyone on the city wall was immediately angry. This damn demon sect and the disciples of the corpse training sect, one used the spirit of the monks to practice the flag, and the other used the corpses of the monks to practice the corpses, which made all the Zha monks hate it to the extreme. Everyone, hurry up and get on the city wall and prepare to defend against the enemy. With the sound of war drums, an old man in a green python robe flew into the air. With his roar, all the monks in Xi'an City held magic tools in their hands and flew to the city wall, ready to go out of the city to attack the Mo sect monks at any time. When the green python robe gave an order, countless demon pythons suddenly appeared in the sky. Among them were late-stage second-order spiritual pythons and third-order spiritual pythons. They were densely packed, like a snake tide, rushing towards the Mo sect monks. At the front of the Mo sect was also a purple mansion wanderer. He held the Mo banner in his hand, sneered, and waved his hand directly. The black fog became thicker, and the next moment countless demon heads kept flying in the black fog. When the snake tide approached, the demon heads all went crazy and swallowed those demon pythons. The spiritual pythons and demon heads came back and forth, and the two of them also fought with anger. The two of them directly waved their sleeves and fled into the sky, and directly started the Purple Mansion decisive battle. Almost at the same time when the two of them fled into the sky, several Purple Mansion cultivators appeared in the sky again and flew into the sky, and began to fight with the cultivators of the Sky Demon sect. The cultivator of the Spirit Beast sect below, who had reached the great perfection of foundation building, also took over the command instantly. I don't know how many times such a battle has been experienced. Every cultivator is familiar with it at this moment. No cultivator who can survive is a mediocre person. The Lin family was in a position that was neither forward nor backward. Lin Yi rushed out first. When his sword flashed, he had not killed a foundation-building demon cultivator, but he saw a direct disciple from the Sky Demon sect who appeared and directly targeted Lin Yi. Haoyan, take care of the key training cultivators of the family. Lin Yi ordered Lin Haoyan and rushed out. Lin Haoyan also nodded. In this battlefield, the Purple Mansion was a battle of great power, at an altitude of 1,000 meters, and the foundation building was a battle of the main force, both at an altitude of 100 meters. As for the key refining cultivators, they basically fought in battle formations, casting spells on the ground. Even the physical cultivators at this moment mostly cast spells remotely and did not choose to enter the magic cultivators' positions. But don't think that the cultivators of the Heavenly Demon sect and the corpse training sect will really fight each other. When seeing good corpse training materials or spirit materials, those purple mansion cultivators of the corpse training sect and the Heavenly Demon sect have the chance to attack the key refining cultivators. This is why Lin Yi asked Lin Haoyun to look after the key refining cultivators of the Lin family. This situation is commonplace for the cultivators of the Heavenly Demon sect and the corpse training sect, and it is also one of the reasons why the Lin family suffered great losses. Even Lei Zhuan at this moment has been ordered by Lin Haoyun not to show his thunder attribute spiritual roots. The key refining cultivators of the Lin family are also well prepared. Instead, Lin Haoyun was targeted by a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. He was a cultivator of the Heavenly Demon sect, holding a Heavenly Demon banner that almost every cultivator of the Heavenly Demon sect must have, but his Heavenly Demon banner was obviously a third-level magic weapon. He had also broken through the middle stage of foundation building not long ago. This cultivator from Zhao, my magic banner has just been completed. There is a way to immortality in the banner. I wonder if you would consider it. The demon cultivator said with a strange smile, and then waved the magic banner. In an instant, 3 third-level early demons emerged from the banner and rushed towards Lin Haoyun. Lin Haoyun also had a solemn expression and took out several third-level mid-grade flying swords, but he was only in the early stage of foundation building. Not to mention the demon cultivator himself, the 3 foundation building demons alone were already making him feel extremely difficult. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 Arrival. Dao, don't resist stubbornly. Isn't the way to longevity good? The demon cultivator kept mocking, disrupting Lin Haoyun's thoughts. The technique that Lin Haoyun practiced was only a yellow-level technique, and his true essence was not condensed enough. At this moment, it was already a bit strenuous for him to control 3 third-level middle-grade magic swords, and he could only keep retreating. But at this time, the other foundation-building cultivators had no intention of coming to support. They were all family cultivators, most of whom were summoned by the sect. They would only protect themselves and would not come to support. If it was before Lin Shiming disappeared, the Lin family would do the same. The little military merit of killing the demon cultivator was naturally not enough for them to risk being targeted by the demon cultivator Purple Mansion cultivator. Lin Haoyun also felt a burst of despair. He was still thinking about killing 10 foundation-building early-stage cultivators, but he didn't expect that a foundation-building middle-stage demon cultivator came and obviously targeted his spirit. Are all demon cultivators so fussy? If you want Lin's head, come with your ability. Lin Haoyun was also angry. He was really angry that a mid-stage foundation-building cultivator was fighting an early-stage foundation-building cultivator, and he was still so cunning. Good. The demon cultivator laughed strangely, but suddenly 3 demon heads gathered in the demon banner and condensed into a mid-stage third-order demon head. In an instant, the demon power was overwhelming. A huge black face appeared in the void, and then it revealed fangs wrapped in black air and bit towards Lin Haoyun fiercely. Lin Haoyun slashed out with 3 swords, but was instantly knocked away by 3 black streaks of silk sprayed out of the demon head's mouth. Lin Haoyun immediately released various defensive talismans to form a spiritual shield and spiritual armor, but was easily penetrated by the demon head. With a strange laugh, the demon head opened his big mouth. Lin Haoyun only felt a burst of despair, and the demon cultivator couldn't help laughing. Another demon head was about to be captured. These Zhao cultivators were simply too immature. At this time, they were all trying to protect themselves. However, the next moment, there was no Lin Haoyun in the big mouth, but countless golden spirit spears that pierced the demon head directly into the hedgehog. The demon head instantly turned into black smoke and dissipated, and finally took shape on the magic banner of the demon cultivator. Who ruined my good thing? The demon cultivator couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. This magic banner was his lifelong magic weapon. The demon head was destroyed, and he was naturally injured. Do you demon cultivators bully the weak like this? The person who came was Lin Shiming, who was dressed in a green shirt. At this moment, his face was full of anger. He had just come to the battlefield, but he saw his father being attacked by a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. Dao, what you said is wrong. It's just the survival of the fittest in the world of cultivation. If Dao think it's appropriate, why don't you go and kill those demon cultivators, and let me help you deal with the wings of the hostile forces? The demon cultivator laughed, but his eyes looked up and down at Lin Shiming dishonestly, as if he was still thinking about Lin Shiming's magic weapon and skills. It was just that Lin Shiming appeared for the first time, and the demon cultivator was destined to be disappointed. Shiming. Lin Hao looked at the young man standing in front of him in surprise. He was extremely excited for a moment. As for life and death, he had long looked down on it. And as long as Lin Shiming was alive, everything was worth it. Father, leave this demon cultivator to me. Lin Shiming said without looking back. At this moment, he was already a foundation-building cultivator, the sky of the Lin family. He should block it. Seeing that Lin Shiming still had the intention of reminiscing about the past, he was simply ignoring him. The angry demon cultivator took action in a blink of an eye. He was seen holding the demon banner in his hand and shaking it. Suddenly, black fog filled the air, and hundreds of spirits and monsters laughed strangely. Then, a series of miserable faces appeared on the demon banner. In addition, the black fog filled the air even more thickly, dark and oppressive, covering the sky and the sun. After seeing the demon cultivator behave like this, Lin Shiming just waved his fingers, and countless vines rushed out again. The purple vines almost covered the black fog and tied up the demon cultivator. The demon cultivators were also horrified. It was not like they had never seen a wood-attributed cultivator before, but it was unheard of for a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building to activate such a terrifying third-level vine in one breath. Then the purple vines began to emit purple light, which actually dispelled a lot of the black fog, and 5 third-level medium-grade white swords appeared in the black fog. The 5 white swords were only 3 inches long, but they were full of spiritual power and extremely restrained, making them difficult to be discovered. If it weren't for the purple gold vines protruding into the black fog, the divine sense would not be able to detect it. This demon cultivator obviously wanted to use this set of flying swords to attack. The demon head also condensed again, turning into a third-level medium-grade demon head, spitting out black silk, and crushing the vines into pieces. Then the demon head and the 5 flying swords slashed at Lin Shiming together. However, before the demon head and the flying swords were displayed, countless golden lights suddenly appeared under the feet of the demon cultivator, and in an instant they spread to the feet of the demon cultivator. The scene of the demon head being stabbed appeared again. He was stabbed into pieces on the spot. The demon leader also lacked a cultivator to provoke him, so he turned into black smoke and returned to the demon banner. Lin Shiming returned the demon banner, the flying knife, and the demon cultivator's storage bag to Lin Hao. Father, go take care of the family's key training cultivators. Lin Shiming said, and then saw the worry in Lin Hao's eyes. Don't worry, Father, Shiming won't be brave. Here, even if there is purple mansion jade liquid, it is not worth Shiming's risk. Lin Shiming continued to explain. After Lin Shiming said this, Lin Hao was relieved. In this battlefield, let alone foundation building cultivators, even purple mansion cultivators are nothing. As long as the other party is determined to get rid of you, they will always succeed. As Lin Shiming agreed, Lin Hao also knew that he was injured, so he did not go to the foundation building battlefield, but went to the key training battlefield instead, forming a battle formation to bombard. Lin Shiming continued to wander around the foundation building battlefield, but he did not look for mid-stage foundation building cultivators, but only for early-stage foundation building cultivators. He only used purple gold vines to fight the enemy each time. There were many wood-attributed cultivators on the battlefield, but there was no other early-stage foundation-building cultivator who could catalyze as quickly as Lin Shiming and had unlimited true essence. After half a day, Lin Shiming killed 3 early-stage foundation-building cultivators, including a cultivator from the corpse sect in the early stage of foundation building. These demon cultivators and corpse cultivators were all experienced and cunning, and Lin Shiming could not help but understand why Zhao State was defeated at the beginning. It was not until now that it was stabilized. I am afraid that some inexperienced cultivators had fallen, and most of the remaining cultivators were cautious and cunning. As the sky began to dawn, a purple air came out from the east, and the demon cultivators in the sky also issued a retreat order. A group of cultivators quickly returned to the river, and Lin Shiming and others all breathed a sigh of relief. On this battlefield, every cultivator is under great pressure, especially physical cultivators. If they perform well, they will become the best material for corpse training for the corpse training sect, and may even become the demon banner master of the demon cultivation sect. Lin Shiming has been extremely controlled, but he cannot hide his strength. He escaped from Yunjing Mountain and stayed there for 2 years. This time he came back, he would inevitably be interrogated. If he performs too uselessly, he might be searched. If he performs better, with the family jade book, he may be able to use the soul-asking talisman. Moreover, it involves Lu Changming and the high-grade spirit stone, which is a headache for him at the moment. Chapter 171 Asking the Spirit. When the troops were withdrawn, a loud laugh was heard, and Lin Xianzi flew down on his sword. However, I killed another late foundation building cultivator. I succeeded. As he laughed, Lin Xianzi's face was covered with blood, his hair was white, and his shirt was blue. The once handsome ancestor was now laughing like a butcher. His face was full of old age and fatigue, but at this moment his eyes were bright and sharp. Seventh uncle. Lin Shiming called out softly. It was obvious that Lin Xianzi was too involved in the battle and did not detect Lin Shiming with his spiritual sense. Seeing Lin Shiming calling him at this moment, he was also startled. Then he was ecstatic, but after the ecstasy, he was proud of his status as an ancestor. You kid, you are so old, but you don't know to send a message to the seventh uncle. Seventh uncle, Shiming is not strong enough and came back too late. I hope the seventh uncle will atone for his sins. Lin Shiming also clasped his fists and said, It's good that you are back. As for the punishment, you are fined for 3 months and you are not allowed to be stubborn. Lin Xianzi said casually, his eyes full of relief. The string that had been tense for a long time finally loosened a little. At this moment, the other members of the Lin family were also very happy. This time, the family did not suffer much loss, but Lin Shiming came back. And I don't know if it's an illusion or something else, everyone just feels that Lin Shiming is back, and they have a backbone, and they are even more at ease than Lin Xianzi. After all, the seventh uncle Lin Xianzi is old, and Lin Shiming is a rising star. Since Lin Shiming entered the world at the age of 17, there is nothing that does not make the elders feel at ease. In fact, sometimes he does things better than the elders, and sometimes his ideas are even more amazing. Shiming, you have to pay attention to the investigation. Lin Xianzi thought of something and suddenly said worriedly. It took 2 years for him to come back, and he was in the initial stage of foundation building. It is inevitable that people will think whether he is controlled or has become an insider. Lin Shiming has a secret, Lin Xianzi naturally knows, and this is what he is most worried about. Don't find out the insider, but find out Lin Shiming's secret, that is the biggest problem. At this time, he began to have some hope that Lin Shiming would not come to Xian City again. With Lin Shiming's talent and luck, it might not be impossible to obtain the Purple Palace, and even the final golden elixir. There is a glimmer of hope. In addition to Lin Shiming, only Lin Xianzi knew that Lin Shiming might have a hidden spirit of wood attribute. It's okay, seventh uncle. Lin Shiming smiled reassuringly. Not long after the battle ended, as expected, Lin Xianzi's senior brother, Xian, came over, looked at Lin Shiming and said, Shiming, Master is a little worried about you, you should go over here. Xian said very seriously, obviously he also knew the seriousness of the matter. Although Lin Shiming was unaware of it in Yunjing Mountain, you have to know that Lin Shiming was the first to discover it, and the first to escape, and finally stayed for 2 years. Among them, interrogation is naturally indispensable, and Lin Xianzi has experienced it before. Thank you, senior brother. Shiming will go and pay respects to Master right away. Lin Shiming nodded and relaxed a little. It would be better to have Zixuan Sanren come to interrogate him than to have a Sanren from the Spirit Beast sect interrogate him. Perhaps, he didn't even need to ask about the Spirit Talisman. While taking a deep breath, Lin Shiming walked towards the central urban area of Xian City. As a fortress, every foundation building cultivator in Xian City was allocated a courtyard in the city, while the key refining cultivators were allocated a loft. As for the Purple Mansion cultivators, they were all allocated a 3-story building in the inner city, called a palace. The small buildings were arranged radially, and they were all arched to the tower in the middle of Xian City. Indistinctly, it seemed that a huge formation had been formed. The formation was majestic and natural. Lin Shiming couldn't help but observe, but he had not systematically learned the knowledge of formations, After a while of observation, he returned empty-handed. After half an incense stick, Lin Shiming finally arrived at Zixuan Sanren's Zixuan Palace. A senior brother whom Lin Shiming had met once, and a strange monk in animal robes were guarding the door. Senior brothers. Lin Shiming waved to the two respectfully, and then continued to follow Xian into the hall. Inside the hall was a large mahogany 8 immortal table. Zixuan Sanren was still wearing the familiar purple robe, with an awe-inspiring look. What surprised Lin Shiming was that Zixuan Sanren was not sitting in the main seat, but in the main seat was a black-faced middle-aged man wearing spirit animal robes. Lin Shiming also knew this black-faced middle-aged man, Heijio Sanren, one of the Spirit Beast sect's Purple Mansion Great Perfection monks. Master, Uncle Master. Lin Shiming stepped forward and saluted, respectfully. Shiming, your master was worried about you before. I didn't expect you to come back. This is a good thing. However, Jin Shizi and Chen Yunli robbed a high-grade spiritual stone vein of the Spirit Beast sect. The real culprit has not been caught yet. The sect needs to ask a few questions. Zixuan Sanren's words were very kind and tactful, but Lin Shiming also saw that a soul-asking talisman had been taken out by the black-faced middle-aged cultivator. Then, regardless of whether Lin Shiming agreed or not, the soul-asking talisman flew in the air, and the next moment it turned into spiritual light, covering Lin Shiming. Seeing this, Lin Shiming did not suppress his calmness. Unless he had practiced well, anyone would panic if they suddenly encountered the soul-asking talisman. Then he adjusted himself, took a deep breath, and began to describe everything. Because he had prepared in advance, Lin Shiming was not panicked, and at the same time he directly omitted the part about Lu Changming. If the small magical tree and the killing of Lu Changming were asked under the soul-asking talisman, even if Zixuan Sanren was on his side, he might not be able to protect him. Zixuan Sanren asked on the side, but the black-faced middle-aged cultivator said nothing, but his expression became more and more serious, as if Lin Shiming had let the cat out of the bag. But Lin Shiming was sure that it was the old man who was putting pressure on him, just like Lu Changming's acting, but the black-faced middle-aged cultivator at this moment had the cultivation of the Purple Mansion Great Perfection, and the pressure was more direct and greater. Wait, you said that you killed the mid-stage foundation building cultivator of the corpse training sect. The black-faced middle-aged man finally spoke, his eyes were terrifying. Describe it in detail, remember all the details, and the magic weapon used by the other party. Lin Shiming did not hesitate, and told how he used the shocking god drum and how he killed the corpse training sect cultivator one by one. Finally, he added, Master, Uncle, Shiming suffered an extremely serious injury afterwards, and has been recovering for the past 2 years. When he said this, his heartbeat suddenly accelerated. He stole the concept, but it was the fact. Zixuan Sanren nodded without replying. Instead, the black-faced middle-aged cultivator continued to stare at Lin Shiming's eyes. Just when his heartbeat was out of control and he thought he was exposed, the black-faced middle-aged cultivator finally spoke, check the storage bag. And the spirit beast bag. After these words came out, Zixuan Sanren changed color. This black dragon Sanren had never mentioned the matter of checking the storage bag and the spirit beast bag to him before. Lin Shiming's face also changed. Chapter 172, Grass Sword Technique. The whole hall began to be terribly silent. Zixuan Sanren spoke, but Heijio Sanren did not give him face and did not reply. Instead, he continued to stare at Lin Shiming. Seeing this, Lin Shiming finally took a deep breath, took off the storage bag and spirit beast bag on his waist, and handed over the storage bracelet hidden in his sleeves one by one. All the magic tools and spirit stones were displayed in front of Heijio Sanren and Zixuan Sanren. As the spirit objects and magic tools were released, thousands of medium-grade spirit stones, hundreds of kilograms of Kingming iron, and the 2 life spirit zombies in the Shianio bag, the Jingshan drum, the Shiankin spider silk, the Jie grass man, the red-haired demon monkey. At this moment, a large number of treasures were displayed in front of the two. However, there were no high-grade spirit stones, nor all the relics of Lu Changming. Before Lin Shiming entered the city, he had already found an underground location to put them away and arranged for the golden-winged mantis to guard them. He was not worried about the storage bag being searched before, but worried that there were cultivators in the Lu family who could find his breath through the magic tools or relics. For example, Lu Changming was found through the golden eagle, but at this moment, the golden eagle had been completely burned to ashes. Unexpectedly, He escaped a disaster by accident. Your disciple has great luck, not bad. Heijiao Sanren's expression finally relaxed, not as aggressive as before, but when he saw the remains of the demon cultivators, he studied them carefully. He obviously wanted to study the remains of the demon cultivators and corpse cultivators to see if he could find the two culprits, Jin Shizi and Chen Yunlei. After checking them, Heijiao Sanren raised his eyebrows, and then picked up the jade slip of the second spiritual corpse secret method of the corpse training sect. There was a hint of interest in his words. Uncle, this jade slip was left by the cultivators of the corpse training sect. I can't comprehend it either. Why don't you ask Uncle to comprehend it? Lin Shiming also spoke. Seeing Lin Shiming being so understanding, Heijiao Sanren nodded and then said, yes, this jade slip is indeed quite complicated. So, as a gift, Master Uncle will give you a chance to enter the third-level treasure house in Cheyenne City. When Heijiao Sanren said this, Lin Shiming was also very happy. The battle merit exchange list in Cheyenne City starts with 10 heads of cultivators of the same level, and even hundreds of heads of demon cultivators of the same level are required. This time, he was allowed to choose freely in the treasure house. With a system prompt, he lacked such an opportunity. Otherwise, although he was confident that he could kill cultivators of the same level, he could not ignore that there are always people outside the sky. Even if everything went smoothly, it would inevitably attract the attention of the high-level demon cultivators on the battlefield. Those demon cultivators of the Purple Mansion would not follow the rules with you. If they like you, they just want your body and your soul, and they will not follow the rules of cultivating immortals. After Heijiao Sanren handed Lin Shiming a token, he said he had something to do and left. Only Lin Shiming and Zixuan Sanren were left in the hall. Yes, you may be a hidden spirit like your ancestor. Zixuan Sanren, looking at Lin Shiming, also had such a guess. He accepted Lin Shiming at that time only because of Lin Xianzi. Lin Xianzi did something for him, and he, Zixuan, protected the Lin family for a period of time. It was just that Lin Xianzi and the Lin family had a good temperament, so the support had never stopped, even during this national war. The hidden spirit body is too illusory. Shiming knows that he only has 3 spiritual roots. He still needs to focus on the present and practice hard. This is the truth. Not bad, your character is not bad. At your age, you can have such ideas. Even in Kingsuan sect, you are worthy of the word genius. To be honest, except for giving you the skills and a second-level magic weapon, I didn't give you any other help. In this way, you have also made a contribution this time. Here is a set of Zhuan-level sword secrets. I got it by chance. It has nothing to do with the sect, so I will give it to you. Zixuan Sanren continued to speak. Lin Shiming was also very surprised at this moment. He didn't expect that this interrogation would not only not cause any accidents, but also turn out to be a blessing in disguise. Zhuan-level sword secrets, that is far beyond his Zimu Zuanshan sword formation. Lin Shiming took the jade slip handed over by Zixuan Sanren and looked at the name of the sword method with excitement. The grass sword technique. The simple 4-character name seemed like the martial arts of an ordinary mortal cultivator. However, when he finished reading the 4 characters, he felt a grass appear in his mind. One day, the grass suddenly rose up in the wind and turned into a sharp sword. Slash the sky. Split the earth. Shatter the sky. The scene fell, and Lin Shiming was shocked and broke into cold sweat. He turned around and found that he had lost his composure in front of Zixuan Sanren. Master, please forgive me. It's okay, don't bury this sword technique. This wood sword technique is extremely amazing in my opinion. After Zixuan Sanren finished speaking, he also picked up the teacup on the 8 Immortals table and began to press the spiritual tea with the cup lid. Knowing that Zixuan Sanren had the intention of seeing him off, Lin Shiming immediately said goodbye. After leaving Zixuan Hall, Lin Shiming was truly relaxed. Xian, who was outside, knew that Lin Shiming would be fine after learning that Heijiao Sanren had come out first, and also came up to talk to Lin Shiming. Xian also had the closest relationship with the Lin family. Xian also got a share of the profits from the Lin family's several alchemy and equipment shops in Qingyuan Market. Especially after the Li family disappeared and surrendered to the enemy, the entire market was completely in the hands of the Lin family and the Jin family, and the spiritual stone income became even more. The relationship between the Lin family and Xian was also increasing day by day. If Xian broke through the Purple Mansion in the future, the Lin family would have another backer. Brother, this is my brother's intention. This harvest is thanks to my brother's arrangement. Lin Shiming took out a storage bag, which contained 30 kilograms of Kingming iron. This third-level material is most suitable for refining spiritual armor. It is a rare commodity in Kingxuan sect and only available in Cheyenne Hazhao within the territory of Lingxiao sect. Thank you, brother. Xian did not hesitate and accepted it directly. He is now in the great perfection of foundation building and needs to break through the Purple Mansion. Even within the sect, he needs a large amount of spiritual stones. He is already familiar with the Lin family, so he will not be polite. After saying goodbye to Xian, Lin Shiming went straight back to the Lin family's courtyard. At this moment, all the members of the Lin family had returned to their residence. As for the gate of Cheyenne City, a new batch of cultivators had been stationed there. Even if the demon cultivators and the corpse training sect attacked again regardless of consumption, the gate would not be taken down in a short time, unless the demon sect could produce a spiritual insect like the devouring spirit ant. However, this kind of spiritual insect is extremely fierce, and adult spiritual ants are almost impossible to tame. If you happen to encounter spiritual antigs, it will take a great opportunity. When Lin Shiming returned to his residence, he was the first to tell Lin Xianxi everything in detail. However, after hearing that Lin Shiming had also obtained the sword formula, Lin Xianxi's face not only did not show joy, but became extremely pale. This was something that Lin Shiming had never seen on his seventh uncle's face before. And in his opinion, the grass sword formula was indeed powerful. But he didn't know why his seventh uncle acted like this. Chapter 173 Demon Slaying Tower. Lin Shiming didn't ask, but at this time, he guessed that it was related to Lin Xianxi's previous transaction with Zixuan Sanrun. Lin Xianxi paced in the room. Finally he sighed and said, Shiming, you should have guessed that Zixuan Sanrun has always been the backstage of our Lin family. At the beginning, it was for the face of Patriarch Zhangxing, but later it was a transaction. Speaking of which, Patriarch Zhangxing left the sect and established his own family. At that time, many Purple Mansion elders of Kingxuan sect disagreed, including Zixuan Sanrun. Later, the family was ostracized in Yunzhao, and Patriarch Zhangxing was framed by the ancestor of the Li family. They both fell in the Qingyuan Mountains. It's just that the Li family had the Purple Mansion cultivator Li Chuanhun, while our Lin family has no Purple Mansion cultivator. Zixuan Sanrun stepped forward and helped our Lin family survive 3 genocide crises, but was also warned by the Kingxuan sect because of this. Later, Zixuan Sanrun even accepted me as a registered disciple. The kindness was extreme. But our Lin family has no way to repay. Lin Xianxi said slowly, sighed, and looked into the void, as if he was still recalling the scene 100 years ago. Then he continued, at that time, I understood the sword meaning and was full of vigor. I thought that no one in the world could defeat me. However, there is no saying that everyone in the world must be of the same level, nor is there a saying that it must be one-on-one. I was besieged by several late-stage foundation building cultivators of the Li family. It was also Brother Zi who sent me the order to save me. Otherwise, I couldn't even survive in the Lotus Pond for 30 years. When Brother Zi saved me, he also brought the order of Zixuan Sanrun. Becoming a true disciple of the sect, the Lin family can be preserved for 100 years and be separated from the family forever, or agree to take a risk and enter the Zhuanpan secret realm of the Kingxuan sect. But that time, I was already a 5-poison body, and the family couldn't be without foundation building cultivators, so I refused. When Lin Xianxi said this, Lin Shiming couldn't help imagining the scene of Lin Xianxi at that time in his mind. Presumably, at that time, the 7th uncle also hesitated. Giving up the family to become a true disciple of the sect, the Purple Mansion can be expected, and continuing to stay in the family, except for the family inheritance, there is no other benefit. But the 7th uncle chose the family. Just like when the 7th uncle first met him, he asked him why his family was like that. They all chose the family path. There are thousands of ways, but they chose to protect one. And Lin Shimo chose the path of a casual cultivator. Later, I also went to find out with the cultivators of the sect, and finally knew what secret realm Zixuan Sanrun asked me to go to. A tomb of 10,000 swords in the Zhuanpan secret realm. Take a spiritual sword to help him gather the palace and condense the elixir. And the condition for entering the sword tomb is to comprehend the sword. When Lin Xianxi said this, Lin Shiming also understood it instantly. At the same time, his face instantly turned pale. The spiritual sword, also known as the spiritual magic weapon, has the greatest feature that it can help cultivators break through the purple mansion, even if it is a purple mansion in the twilight years. As long as it is a sword cultivator, there is a high probability of breaking through. Zixuan Sanren is obviously from the same era as the Lin family's ancestors Hengxing. Now 300 years have passed. Even if he breaks through the purple mansion at the age of 150, he only has 50 years of life now. 50 years of life is naturally not enough to break through the golden elixir normally. But how could the spiritual sword be so easy to obtain? Even if a purple mansion cultivator tried to obtain such a spiritual weapon, he would probably be chopped to ashes. His seventh great uncle agreed, obviously with the intention of dying. All the fog was cleared. No wonder Zixuan Sanren looked like that after learning that Lin Xianxi's sword intent had achieved a minor success and reached the realm of sword-like transformation. And now after learning about his combat power and hidden spiritual body, he gave him the grass character sword formula. Just like the owner of Duobiao Tower's obsession to break through the purple mansion, Zixuan Sanren's obsession to break through the golden core is obviously much greater. In front of the great Dao, few people are not crazy about it. However, Lin Shiming is not particularly disgusted with Zixuan Sanren. He has never threatened the Lin family. Instead, he has been a gift, shelter, and trade. He can only hate himself for not being strong enough. After Lin Xianxi finished speaking, he also breathed a sigh of relief. Knowing that he had not much time left, he could only pin all his hopes on Lin Shiming. Just as Lin Yuqi was expecting the Lin family to produce a third-level alchemist when he left, Lin Xianxi was expecting to see the Lin family restore the Purple Mansion family before he left. Let Fang Mushin be full of spiritual light and purple air. Lin Xianxi gave Lin Shiming a few instructions and talked to Lin Shiming about the sort of grass. After Lin Shiming agreed a few times, he also walked out of Lin Xianxi's room and headed towards the treasure house in Xi'an City, where third-level treasures were exchanged. It is better to use the token of the Black Dragon Sanren as soon as possible. He does not have Lu Chengming's magic weapon at the moment, and there are not many magic weapons available on him. It is okay to deal with ordinary foundation-building cultivators, but if he faces a stronger foundation-building mid-stage cultivator, or a late-stage cultivator, there is no hope at all. Except for the top-grade sneak attack magic weapon, the Heavenly Silkworm Spider Silk, all other offensive magic weapons are ordinary third-level mid-grade magic weapons. In battle, it is naturally impossible to use sneak attack magic weapons and keep them in front of the door to cast spells. The treasure house they went to this time was also known as the Demon Slaying House. After beheading the demon cultivator, they could exchange treasures in the Demon Slaying House. The treasures in the Demon Slaying House were provided by the three sects. Among them, there were treasures such as the Foundation Building Pill and the Purple Mansion Jade Liquid. However, the exchange conditions were extremely harsh, especially the Purple Mansion Jade Liquid, which could only be exchanged after killing a Purple Mansion cultivator. However, if one had the ability to kill a Purple Mansion cultivator, he would naturally be a Purple Mansion cultivator. Lin Shiming didn't want such vain things. He wanted to find a good attacking magic weapon or a good spiritual wood in the third-level treasures of the treasure house. He would be satisfied if he could refine the Purplewood Zuanshan sword formation again. He asked Zian about the address of the treasure house after coming out of the Purple Zhuan Pavilion. Not long after, Lin Shiming arrived in front of the treasure house. The treasure house was only separated from the city lord's mansion by a wall. Looking up at the sky, he could see the beast-taming ring emitting a dazzling treasure light and spiritual power. Lin Shiming only took a glance and felt as if a terrifying ancient beast was staring at him, causing him to shudder all over and then sweat. He quickly practiced the repair spell of the god-splitting art several times before he recovered. Dao, that is the magic weapon of the heavenly beast master, you can't look at it. A cultivator from the spirit beast sect who was guarding the Duobiao building nearby kindly reminded him. Lin Shiming quickly replied with a thank you. Then he walked into the treasure building. Unlike ordinary shops, the treasure building was a huge luminous curtain. This curtain was obviously a huge third-level magic weapon, and on the curtain, there were densely packed treasures. These treasures are divided into second-level treasures, third-level treasures, and fourth-level treasures. Second-level key training treasures are paid with the heads of key training demon cultivators. Third-level foundation building treasures are paid with the heads of foundation building demon cultivators, and the same is true for fourth-level treasures. Lin Shiming directly skipped the second-level treasures, looked directly at the third-level treasures, and directly looked for spiritual wood. Chapter 174, Cave Bead. There were so many spiritual trees on the screen that Lin Shiming was dazzled. He also saw a lot of heavenly wood hearts. Among them were the heavenly wood hearts of the 3rd grade superior Cheyenne wood and the heavenly wood hearts of the 3rd grade superior Tian bamboo. The conditions for exchanging these heavenly wood hearts were to kill 20 late-stage foundation building demon cultivators. Seeing this, Lin Shiming was extremely jealous and almost took out the token given by Black Dragon Sanrin to exchange them. But at this moment, his problem was not the true essence, but the problem of not having a suitable magic weapon. It would be useless for him to exchange for the best magic weapon, as he could not control it for the time being. He only had the best magic weapon, but he was unwilling to give up. Therefore, only the complete 3rd grade spiritual wood was his exchange object. This time, he wanted to exchange for the materials for the purple wood Zuanshan sword formation that could refine a complete set of superior magic swords. Lin Shiming checked the spiritual wood, but found that there were only 3 complete 3rd grade superior spiritual woods: Qingming wood, Yan'ang wood, and Zuan'ang wood. Of the 3 kinds of spiritual wood, the first one was obviously not suitable for him, but the second and third ones made Lin Shiming hesitate. The former spiritual wood contained the power of the scorching sun, and he himself had a fire spiritual root. Although he practiced a purple wood heart sutra, using the scorching sun wood could also make the sword formation more powerful and arouse the power of the scorching sun, which was definitely a killer against demon cultivators and corpse cultivators. As for the black sun wood, it was an extremely strong spiritual wood, and its hardness was even comparable to that of the best spiritual wood, but its disadvantage was that it was extremely ordinary, without other characteristics, and the swords refined in this way would become more cumbersome. Lin Shiming hesitated again and again, and still wanted to choose the former. However, at this moment, the system prompt suddenly appeared: screen all the spiritual beads, select the dusty big world cave heaven bead, and combine it with the secondary spiritual platform. You will get a cave heaven world. As soon as the prompt came out, Lin Shiming felt his heart fluttering. The hand that took out the token was immediately retracted, for fear of being misunderstood by the exchanger. Then, after reading the prompt several times again, he finally confirmed that the prompt was not an illusion. Lin Shiming had only heard of the legend of the cave world in the miscellaneous notes of cultivating immortals. It was said that only the ancestors of the transformation of gods could restrain the cave world and use it for their own benefit. In addition, there were cave beads, but no one in the entire Zhao state, or even the entire Yan'an, had ever seen a cave bead, let alone refined one. The system prompt had no errors, which meant that there were cave beads in the exchange items. Lin Shiming moved his eyes away from the spirit wood and then began to check the various beads and magic tools. The demon swallowing bead, the sky thunder bead, the mysterious bead. Lin Shiming looked at all kinds of beads and magic tools one by one. Each magic tool had an introduction, but Lin Shiming skipped it directly, regardless of whether the grade of the bead magic tool was a 3rd level low-grade magic tool or a 3rd level top-grade magic tool. Finally, at the very edge of the screen, he found a mysterious 3rd level bead. The introduction of the bead said that it was a mysterious magic tool that could not be refined with a drop of blood, was extremely heavy, and could be used to sneak attack and smash the enemy. As soon as this introduction came out, he instantly confirmed that this must be the cave heaven pearl. A cave world is naturally extremely heavy and cannot be refined because the cave heaven pearl needs to be combined with the spirit platform. The other cultivators did not have a system prompt, so how could they dare to try it easily? The exchange requires 20 foundation building initial stage demon cultivators. Lin Shiming was even more surprised at this moment. He did not expect that this cave heaven pearl would only require the heads of 20 foundation building initial stage demon cultivators. For him, just returning to the battlefield that time, he killed 4 foundation building initial stage cultivators. At this moment, he was very entangled, but in the end he did not use the token to exchange the cave heaven pearl. It was not that he felt that the cave heaven pearl was not worthy. On the contrary, he was worried that using such a precious token to exchange for the cave heaven pearl would make it easy to be discovered. And if the 3 sects of the Purple Mansion cultivators knew the secret of the cave heaven pearl, he would never be able to obtain it. Lin Shiming stayed there for a long time, and was entangled for a long time. In the end, he gritted his teeth and didn't look at the Dongshan pearl. He exchanged the token for the Yan'an wood. The exchange condition for the Yan'ang wood was the heads of 30 late-stage foundation building demon cultivators. The value was also very high among the third-level treasures. However, after seeing a 100-meter-long section of red spiritual wood in the storage bag, Lin Shiming also understood why it was the heads of 30 late-stage foundation building demon cultivators. However, even if he could refine 99 and 81 array swords to form the large purple-wood Zuanshan sword array, he was not very excited at the moment. After all, the Dongshan Pearl was not in his hands. Only when the Dongshan Pearl was in his hands and he had the Dongshan world, he could transplant the small magical tree and the wood monster into the Dongshan world, and he would not be afraid of querying the storage bag in the future. For this reason, he also gritted his teeth secretly. The next time the demon cultivators attacked, they had to expose some strength and kill enough early-stage foundation building cultivators at one time. After leaving the treasure house, Lin Shiming went straight to a weapon refining pavilion in Xi'an City. This weapon refining pavilion was called Zuanking Refining Pavilion. As its name suggests, it was opened by a cultivator from the Danqi Peak of the Kingsuan sect. The third-level spiritual wood must naturally be refined into the prototype of a formation sword, but his weapon refining level can only refine a second-level inferior magic weapon. How can he refine a third-level magic weapon? This weapon refining pavilion was also introduced by Xian. It must be said that his senior brother has been of great help to the Lin family. The Zuanking Refining Pavilion has only 2 floors, which means that the Refining Pavilion can only refine foundation building magic weapons. When you enter the door, you can see 2 cultivators sitting opposite each other, one holding a secret book and checking it. The 2 cultivators are not very old, but their cultivation is at the middle stage of foundation building. Excuse me, are you Masters Lin Zhuan and Su Qing? Seeing Lin Shiming coming in, the 2 cultivators also put down their books and sat upright to look at Lin Shiming. Yes, but you can only choose one of the 2 weapon refiners, so please choose directly. Yes, I am much better than the one next to me in weapon refinement. I think you should know how to choose. The 2 of them said one by one, and the atmosphere was full of gunpowder in an instant. Lin Shiming finally understood why Xian had such a look on his face when he asked him where to refine weapons quickly and affordably. Now that he thinks about it, he had expected this situation. However, while Lin Shiming was curious, he also estimated that the cost of refining weapons would be lower. After all, this was a competition between the same store. 2 masters, Lin wants to get the magic weapon faster, so please come together. Lin Shiming replied, and then saw that the 2 people's expressions turned cold, and continued to smile and add, "Don't worry, spirit stones and materials are not a problem. Fellow Taoist, you are wrong. The strength of the 2 of us is the top weapon refinement strength among the disciples of Kingsuan sect. You can only choose one. Besides, can you take out so many spirit materials?" The 2 of them said one by one again. Lin Shiming did not say anything. He took out the storage bag containing Yan'ang wood, and then took out 30 kilograms of Qingming iron. These 2 materials are both top materials for refining flying swords. Su Qing was stunned when he saw so many training materials. He did not expect that Lin Shiming, a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building, could actually take out spiritual materials worth millions of spirit stones. Okay, Su Qing, let's have a good competition this time. Lin Zhuan next to him agreed immediately after being stunned. Chapter 175 Screen Prompt. In Xi'an City, in the courtyard where the Lin family sat, the mist of minks and tea rose. A rich tea fragrance instantly filled the whole room. Lin Shiming picked up the teacup, first filled it for his 7th uncle who was sitting opposite, and then poured himself a cup. This spiritual tea is really good tea, and that wood monster can be considered a thing that can be cultivated. After drinking a cup, Lin Xianxi also felt that his whole body and mind were empty and transparent, and his tiredness was gone. He seemed to have some new understanding of the progress of his cultivation. Shiming, with your catalytic speed, you can catalyze more than twice the spiritual plants now. Lin Xianxi continued to speak, and Lin Shiming nodded. But Lin Shiming didn't say much, but Lin Xianxi kept talking about this and that. Lin Shiming just kept adding spiritual tea beside him. 1 cup after another, 1 pot after another. After more than half an hour, Lin Xianxi finally sighed and said, "If you want to practice the grass sword technique, practice it. This wood-attributed sword technique may really help you achieve the supreme sword art." Lin Shiming finally put his mind at ease at this moment. He and Lin Yi were drinking tea here because they hadn't talked for a long time and wanted to accompany their elders. But more importantly, he wanted to refine the grass sword technique. If the Zhuanpin secret realm was opened, he didn't want Lin Yi to go in alone and take risks. Of course, he was not impulsive, but his strength was already good. With the top-grade spirit stones, he could break through the middle stage of foundation building within 3 years. He also had the confidence to improve his body cultivation and spiritual consciousness. In addition, he had the golden-winged mantis and the red-haired demon monkey as spiritual beasts. The most important thing was that even if he came out of the Zhuanpin secret realm, he had the cave sky beads and could hide some spiritual objects. Whether it was him or Lin Yi, there was actually an important level, the Purple Mansion. But the main elixir needed for the Purple Mansion Jade liquid is the purple jade fruit, and the outside world not only does not have the purple jade fruit, but has never even heard of it. As the most important secret realm of the Kingsun sect, there will naturally be purple jade fruit. Speaking of which, the deacon of Duabao Tower has discussed this matter with Lin Yi, and they went to the Zhuanpin secret realm to jointly obtain the purple jade fruit. Shiming, this is my experience in practicing sword intent over the years, you can take a look. Lin Yi took out a jade slit and handed it to Lin Shiming. He also knew that if Lin Shiming wanted to support the Lin family, he must practice this KOZ sword art. Before, he didn't want Lin Shiming to practice, just worried that Lin Shiming would enter the Zhuanpin secret realm with him, and then the two would be in danger. But then he thought, Lin Shiming practiced the art, whether he allowed it or not, he couldn't stop it. But Lin Shiming respected his teacher and didn't want to offend his elder. Moreover, although Lin Shiming was very powerful, he had always relied on his spirit beasts and wood vines, as well as other cultivators to fight against the enemy together. If one day, his cultivation level far exceeded his spirit beasts and wood vines, and there was no other Lin family member with the same cultivation level to help him, he would lack a killer weapon that could kill him with one blow. Thank you, 7th uncle. Lin Shiming was also very happy to take the jade slip. After the two chatted about family affairs again, Lin Shiming also resigned and left. Then he immediately returned to the room and began to comprehend Lin Yi's swordsmanship experience while comprehending the grass character sword art. As for the mountain ape body training technique and the soul-splitting technique, they were extremely unsuitable in Cheyenne City, which was about to go to war at any time. The former required recovery for physical training, while the latter required the soul-splitting technique to recover. Lin Shiming took out the Enlightenment cushion and sat on it. He first practiced the Purple Wood Heart Sutra, and after practicing to the extreme state, he opened the 7th uncle Lin Yi's swordsmanship experience. The sword art of the sword art emphasizes a clear sword heart, and the sword art comes naturally. However, he thought that he only knew the art of controlling the sword, and as for the real sword art, he only saw the stunning glimpse of Zixuan Sanren and Xianjian's Henren when they made moves. Lin Yi's experience in the sword art is very detailed, which includes the confusion when Lin Yi was a teenager practicing sword art, the strengths of hundreds of schools of sword art when he was 30 years old, and the initial realization of a trace of sword art when he was 40 years old. Finally, there is the heroic appearance of the sword art, the 30 years of Lotus Pond, the restraint of the sword art, and then the transformation. Bit by bit, from drawing the sword to drawing the sword art contained in it, bit by bit, all passed through Lin Shiming's mind. It lasted for 3 days before Lin Shiming opened his eyes. At this moment, his face was full of joy, and there was even a faint sword light in his eyes. Of course, this does not mean that Lin Shiming has entered the sword art, but that this jade slip contains not only Lin Yi's perception, but also a trace of King Lian's sword art. At this moment, he couldn't help but be amazed by his 7th great-grandfather's talent for swordsmanship, but at the same time, he also had a rough understanding of swordsmanship. Lin Shiming took a deep breath and closed his eyes to look back again. But this time, he was not looking back, nor was he replacing himself, but to forget. No matter how strong Lin Yi's sword intent was, it was his own, and it was also the continuous and surging water attribute, and the metal attribute was unstoppable and indestructible. Half a day later, the fragrance of tea rose again, and the tea mist filled the air. Lin Shiming opened the jade slip of the grass sword formula on the futon. The same scene appeared again, but this time, Lin Shiming saw the sword grass. The purple sword grass was sprouting, comprehending the sword, and then growing. In an instant, it seemed like hundreds of years had passed, and the grass was still accumulating strength and nurturing the sword. Then he slashed with a sword. Hundreds of years of accumulation of sword intent made the sword the only one in the world. The world lost its color. The grass rose, the sword fell. The sky cracked, and the earth sank. The picture disappeared, annihilated without a trace. Lin Yi closed his eyes again, with a bitter taste in his mouth. He knew that the sword meaning contained in the jade slip had disappeared. This sword meaning was the sword meaning of Zixuan Sanrun. Just like the jade slip given to him by Lin Yi, the sword light disappeared, and most of the true meaning was lost. Lin Yi said that he was not disappointed, but that was also a lie. Although the sword meaning in the two pictures gave him a lot of insights, he was still confused. Unlike Lin Yi's insights, which were easy to understand, the grass sword at this moment was obviously more difficult, and Zixuan Sanrun was obviously not more careful. Or maybe Zixuan Sanrun's grass sword was so high that he couldn't understand it. He tried to practice the content of the sword formula, but felt a burst of irritation in his heart. However, at this moment, the system prompt appeared again. But this time it was not a prompt, but a playback of the previous picture, and it was slowed down by hundreds of times. The only difference was that this time it was a green sword grass, a green dogtail grass. Lin Yi was shocked. He didn't expect that the prompt that appeared this time was a screen prompt, but he was also very happy. If the grass sword just now made him a little confused, then this grass sword that was slowed down 10 times made him more enlightened. And the picture was obviously different from the purple sword grass. He saw the dogtail grass waving the sword in the wind. Dancing with the sword. 10 times. 100 times. 10,000 times. This is the power of the sword grass. The true meaning of the grass sword technique gradually appeared in Lin Yi's mind. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.